UFC 311. I am the creator of Fight Farm NFTs, the #1 NFT Web3 game for MMA. So, did a little test earlier. Still learning the ropes here for Streamlabs. I have the fight pulled up. uh, we're actually hosting a few fights. We have the Islam versus Hanato fight, which is a replacement fight from half of the main event pulling out. We have Marab taking on Umar, the co-main event. And we also have Yuri and Jamal Hill. Those are the big fights that we did for Fight Farm and DGNFT. If you would like more information, definitely hit me up. We're going to have a lot of video content coming out soon explaining both products. For now, please realize, like I said, this is a live stream. We're pushing out to Twitter and we are pushing out to YouTube. I don't expect to get a lot of followers necessarily on YouTube, but I am active on Twitter or X. And our main goal is OmniFlix TV is launching live streaming very soon. As you guys know, Scott and Bella from D Podcast are already testing that. They've got the media nodes. So if you're not familiar with OmniFlix, that's where I host my NFTs. And they also have OmniFlix TV. So they're more than an NFT platform. They are a multimedia hub. So going to get a little practice work in. Right now I am watching Talbot versus Barcelos. This is the main event. It's a bantamweight fight in UFC for the undercard. The actual card goes live at 10 p.m. Eastern time. I actually put a little bit of money on Barcelos. He was coming in at like I forget what his bet was, but Shane Talbot is a young kid. He's been on a winning streak, becoming uber popular very fast in the UFC. I think he was like a plus, or what was he, a plus 1200, plus 1400. But on FanDuel, I threw, I think, a $10 bet on it for Barcelos to win this fight. And if he did, I think it's an $80 payout. We are 3 minutes in, 3 minutes left in the second round of this fight. Barcelos absolutely dominated Talbot in the first round, took him down, had him belly down, threatened a lot of chokes, had really good control, really good wrestling. Talbot looks unusually slow and off to the punch. I'm curious of him skateboarding with Tony Hawk this week. I'm almost certain I saw a photo of him on a ramp with Tony Hawk, and I'm like, dude, the week of a fight, I get it. Like as someone who used to skate when I was younger, I get it. But come on, man, like you got a lot riding on this on your career, and I don't know. There's a time and place. So what we see right now is Talbot is again on his back. He got a nice little throw from Barcelos, landed it in a modified side control. Barcelos has now stepped over into mount. Got a little bit of shoulder pressure going into him, but not much. Underhook on the left arm. Uh, Trying to fight for that positional control. Talbot is working his way back up. Really, really good wrestle up there from Talbot, but he does eat a knee. Spinning back fist from Barcelos. They are circling. They're throwing some wild combinations. This is probably where Talbot wants it. The wrestling and the grappling so far has been a very effective tool against Talbot, and Barcelos has controlled most of the first and second round. Talbot is up with a fury, really pinning him up against the fence right now. He circles off the fence, and man, oh, landed a nice straight right. A nice straight right. They're starting to chill just a little bit. He's circling off the cage. Talbot is not doing a good job of really pinning him. Like dude, you worked up. You put a lot of effort into getting back up, and you had a little bit of a flurry going, but the circling is rather slow. He's throwing some nice punches and kicks and combos. They're not really landing flush. I wouldn't say they're a significant strike. I would say the kicks probably look crisper right now than his punches. Uh, Barcelos rushes in. He's trying for the single. He's working, working, circling, and he gets the takedown once again. It's like takedown number 4, probably. And the thing that stands out is when Talbot is landing. Uh, he is in the worst positions all possible. He is either flat on his back, or he is so far up on his side he's being pushed belly down. He's not getting um, a comfortable position on the hip and the shoulder and elbow. uh, Barcelos is doing a really good job of either flattening him out on his back or turning him over and forcing him to go belly down. And Talbot just looks a little bit slow trying to get up. So that is the end of the second round. The timer just went off. Absolute domination from Barcelos again. I will say that this round is a little bit closer than the first round. The first round I would definitely give to Talbot. I'm sorry, I would definitely give to Barcelos. The second round I would say slightly favors Barcelos, but uh, some of those flurries on the striking, I would say with the takedowns and the control, it still has to be Barcelos 2-0 in my opinion. So they're on a commercial break. While they're on a commercial break, I'm going to come over here, and for those who are new, you can check this out right here. This is Fight Farm. Actually, that's a studio. Let me switch over to the marketplace. So this is Fight Farm main event. This is a stake to earn Dow game. Let me see if I can expand the description here. Oh, and I can. So I have it listed as a stake to earn Dow game. You can earn crypto from UFC wins. You collect, earn, burn, and upgrade NFTs to still rewards from other players. There's a link to stake the NFTs in DAO, and we do have a link there that shows the fighters, the fighter pegs. We do create these NFTs. And they are our own characters, our own characters' names. Oh, what is that? There's some clipping. Let me go slightly back over. There we go. All right, fight is back. Let's switch back over. Like I said, I put $10 on Talbot to lose this one. I mean, he's undefeated. He's had a nice streak, but he is a young kid. Uh, he has he's beaten some decent competition, but you know, it's one of those things where I don't know. I just had a feeling, and he was such a favorite. You know, when you start to get built up to that level of like, hey, that much hype, you have to ask yourself, like, is the hype true? Do you start believing your own hype? And I'm in no way, shape, or form judging him. And just so you know, I'm a Talbot fan. I think this kid has a bright future ahead of him. He's exciting. So far, he's looking good in this round. He has Barcelos down on the ground, pinned against the fence. Barcelos has an open guard, foot in the hip, frames on the inside of the bicep. Oh, just went over, trying to get the leg around for an omoplata. Oh, he is he got the legs. Oh, but the ref, Herb just broke it up. So he was swinging for the omoplata, but Barcelos grabbed the fence with his fingers. So he's explaining to him. Herb Dean is called timeout. So let's see what they're gonna do. It looks like they're starting it back on the ground, and he was probably giving him a warning. But yes, as you can see right there on the replay, he has a triangle over the shoulder. He was going to strip that out anyways. I mean, the likelihood of finishing that omoplata was not there. But him grabbing they are throwing some bombs now. They're throwing some leather. Flying knee was a miss. A flying knee returned. He grabbed the single leg, and once again taken down to the ground, belly down, one hook in, one row. Actually, he missed the hook, but he rode through. Ooh, good stand up by Talbot. Good stand up, and he shucked him right off the back. These guys are throwing. I think Talbot knows, hey, if I'm going to have any chance of winning this fight, I've got to connect something. I've got to finish strong, and most likely I have to finish this guy. He is getting nowhere with the grappling exchanges. He wants no part of that. His kicks actually look very fresh. His kicks actually look pretty good. This was probably the most significant punches from either fighter. This is what worries me about Barcelos, though, right? Oh, that spinning heel kick. But he shrugs it off. Come on, that had to have hurt, right? That heel was right on the side of the jaw. He smiled and snickered and shrugged it off, but Return with a left kick to the side, elbow of his own. He's circling. He looks maybe a little bit less fresh now than what he was, but I mean, not so fresh that he couldn't get this takedown. That has to be, once again, are we double digit takedowns right now? He has absolutely dominated Talbot on the wrestling. So he's got him pinned against the fence. Talbot is mouth open, breathing a little bit heavy, trying to push on the head, trying to get one of the legs free. Okay, he starts to stand back up, but he turns and gives him the back. He's got the two. Is it an underhook? He definitely has a little bit of wrist control. Now he's going over the neck, over the shoulder. Talbot wisely turns to the side, starts to shrimp away, but he does have to watch that left arm. He has it very, very high, but he's covering from the punches. Barcelos is doing a great job. He has a minute and 13 seconds left to win this. And guys, let me tell you, I will be extremely happy. I will feel bad for Talbot, but I will be extremely happy. I would love to make $80 on a $10 bet, especially because the entire MMA world was putting him Talbot as the favorite, and I'm like, man, you 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 can't be that big of a favorite against someone as dangerous as Barcelos, especially when I mean Talbot, for as great as he is overall in MMA. I mean primarily he is primarily a stand up guy. So Barcelos has a little bit of attempt at the choke. It's about a half-assed attempt. I think more it's more control. You're talking about 25 seconds left here. Uh, Flurry of punches. Talbot turns away. Once again, belly down. He's pulling the knees. He's trying to pull the knees in. Oh, he has turned back over, but man, he's eating a lot of punches right now. Punches, elbows. Very, very good flurry of elbows. 9 seconds left. Talbot has absolutely blown this fight. If the judges were to give this to Talbot for any reason, and there's the buzzer, absolute, 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 absolute butt whooping. Absolute butt whooping from Barcelos. Great showing. Talbot will bounce back. He's a young kid, and I do wonder. He did not look like the same fighter we've seen previously. It makes me wonder if he came into this fight with some sort of injury that wasn't talked about, and if so, we know how fighters are. You got to give them their props for that. Um, really would have liked to see Barcelos finish that fight, but that shows you the toughness of this guy, man. Uh, Here it is. Let's see. Let's see if I got my money. All right. Here we go for the official result of this fight. All right. So that absolutely should be Barcelos. Absolutely should be Barcelos. Talbot definitely lost that fight. Um, let's see. All right. Here's the official decision. Bruce Buffer. And we are about to find out. Judges' scorecards. 30-27, 30-27, 30-26 from all the judges across the board. It just goes to show you, man, there is no such thing as a favorite in MMA. So all these people talking about Islam's going to beat this dude, Islam's going to beat that dude. Like, man, it takes one punch, it takes one submission, and really, it takes one person coming in overhyped, believing their own hype, overconfident, or coming in with an injury to absolutely turn a fight where you're the overall favorite into a complete dominant performance from your opponent. And of course, Joe's bringing that up, saying, "Hey, what do you think about the people betting against you?" So yeah, Joe did the interview. Basically, he said, "Don't sleep on me. Don't disrespect me like that." In other words, I don't think any fighter ever that you know there has to be a favorite and an underdog, but when you come in and you're an experienced fighter and people put that much money on your opponent, come on, there is a level of respect there, and I think people were sleeping on him. And if you're like me, yeah, you can always put a little bit of money on a favorite, and maybe you win, maybe you don't. But if you really want to make some money, that's where the risk factor comes in, right? And every now and then, something will perk up and show you, like, I don't think I'm gonna bite on that one because I could be wrong. But come on, a $10 bet paying out $80. I mean, that was very little risk, very good payout, and a fight that I absolutely thought Barcelo could win. And even if Talbot had looked his best tonight and looked like he had in prior performances, I think he still could have had a good fight. And maybe it would have been a lot closer, but I still believe Barcelo could win that fight. Overall, Talbot, you know, if I were to say Talbot fights this guy 10 times, would I give Talbot the edge of winning the majority out of 10? Probably. He's younger, faster, probably more durable. Um, he definitely has less experience, but yeah, that was a good fight. That was a good example of why when you see these wild odds that you've got to understand you're in the fight business, and in the fight business everything is truly 50-50, no matter what the damn odds makers and the betting lines say. All right, so it looks like they're launching right into UFC 311, the pay per view, doing the opening promo. Of course, with all the Dagestanis and Khabib's camp fighting. And of course, you had four Russians, or not four Russians, but four people from the same area of the world initially. Of course, with Armand dropping out, that kind of changed the dynamic of it with the Brazilian coming in. Okay. Well, that was fun. Anyways, guys, while we were letting this promo open up the show, um, I'm going to take a look right here. Oh, man, the clipping is bad here. Is it because I have it at like 50-50 on the browser? I think it is. Let me see if I can move my display capture. Okay. A little bit of an adjustment. But yeah, guys, Fight Farm. So effectively, what this is a stake to earn NFT game. This kind of combines collectible trading cards. So if you're into basketball, football, baseball, hockey, all the actual physical cards we had when we were children, and we know what it's like to collect sports memorabilia. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry between all sports. We also know what the newest trend with NFTs and digital collectibles are. And for me, I wanted to find a way to, give it more utility and more actual usage than just selling you some sort of picture. That is the one thing I hate about NFTs is like the whole like the JPEG and the roadmap, and we're going to do this and we're going to do that, and they don't ever really do it, and they have no substance for what they're trying to do. And in many cases, they're trying to do things that are very crypto centric, and you know, when you do things that are crypto centric, that'll be good in a bull market. So most of these other stake to earn games that we saw last cycle, they would reward you in their own token. The first thing that you have to understand about Fight Farm is we do not reward you only in our own token. Now you can earn the fight token, but it's more like a points reward system. The real rewards come from the actual payouts in the game, and we want to make sure that we're not giving you a token that's our own while we're secretly dumping that token on the back end or all the players. Tons of downward price pressure, especially as you leave a bull market and you go into a bear market. It can really, really hurt your project. Um, Also, the demand and usage for your token is super important. Many of these games would give you a rewards token, but they didn't have any real reason to use it. It was just like, oh, here's some money. We're going to pay you to play. Okay, but if there's no demand there, you're not going to retain your value. So you're paying me with something that's being inflated, and basically my tokens are being displaced. Um, you know, Not displaced. There's a word for it in economics. Of course, my brain is fried right now, but effectively, um, the tokens are meaningless, man. So for us, we want to pay out in tokens that actually mean something. So we take a certain percentage of every NFT we sell, and there is a protocol owned treasury. And that treasury is owned by the game, effectively. And we don't even pay you out of that. We pay you out of the interest and the revenue that treasury earns. So over time, the treasury will gain value and grow, and uh, we can treat that treasury as we should in the market cycle. So there are going to be times where we might say have 10,000 Omniflix tokens staked, but at some point this year, we absolutely will unstake and sell some Omniflix tokens. We might have X amount of AXV staked. We might have X amount of token X staked, right? Because you need to use the inflation from these proof of stake tokens, and you need to use the interest or revenue that you earn from a savings account, like for USDC earning 17%, or from DeFi where you're earning X% for an LP, or for lending platforms. All these things can generate interest and revenue, and that's what we use to pay you out. So effectively, people ask me all the time, like, well, Chris, isn't this gambling? Isn't this betting? And the way I try to explain this to them, the way this is structured, I would argue that no, it's absolutely technically not betting. Now, you have to consider something. If like even right now, if I go on FanDuel or if I go to a casino and I place a bet on a sporting event, I am taking the money from the house, but that money is technically in the house for that fight is from the other players. Like in Fight Farm, you're never getting the money from the house directly from the other players, even. Why? Because the money from the other players, the percentage that we keep that goes to the protocol owned treasury, that's your money. If you're a player in the game and you have tokens staked in the DAO, that effectively is the DAO, the game's money. It's not my money. It's not the team's money. It's called the protocol owned treasury for a reason. It's meant to be there so that we can grow a treasury of DAO owned assets that we all own as players and owners of the game. And we use the revenue from that to pay out the winners. So that's the first level right there, is you're never earning money from your competition. Now the second part is like this is a collectible trading card game. How many people tonight, if you look at the trading cards, came in and they're gonna bet on uh, Marab and Umar, but they come in and they buy the machine gun NFT and the bird NFT, right? Because they probably have this is a V3 for machine gun. They probably have a V1 and a V2. Or it could be your first time ever playing Fight Farm and V3 is the first one you've ever bought. With Bird, it's the first NFT for Umar, pegged to Umar, the nom, man, Nagamadov. Jesus Christ, man. It's like if I'm not saying uh, the first names sometimes. I don't know. It just messes with me. Um, but anyways, hang on. My feed is just. I need to refresh my feed real quick. So before I lose my train of thought, absolutely, I would say that it's not fighting because one, you're not earning money directly from the house or from the other players, meaning it's not the money that came in for that specific fight. What it is you're earning interest and revenue that was created not only from the specific fight that you purchased an NFT for, but you're earning it from revenue and interest that was created off of every fight in the history of Fight Farm. Because every single NFT that we've ever sold has had some portion, some percentage of that has went to the protocol and treasury for the most part. I'll be honest. There's been some where we couldn't do it. We had bills to pay, but for the most part, we've tried to do anywhere from 45 to 55%. And, um, but that's the first part there is you're not earning money from the other players. So in that sense, it's not betting. Secondly, you can buy both sides of the fight, and as collectible trading cards, you're here to collect trading cards in general, meaning you're going to have multiple cards of that fighter. And that's effectively you're buying both sides of the fight. So that's why I think it's not betting. The other part to consider is if um, if the protocol owned treasury is owned by the players and the owners of the game, because effectively, if you're a player, you are an owner. Like I'm a creator, like I run the game, but I don't technically own the game. Like once we go to a full DAO structure, like it won't be like this is early. This is like season one. So yeah, I mean you could say I'm the owner of Fight Farm, but I like to say that I'm the creator of Fight Farm. Effectively, what I want is a game where the players are the owners and where the treasury belongs to the players, and where you have who has the best interest of the players and the payouts for those players other than themselves. Because if you're relying on the creators and the owners and the team and all these other people, as soon as things get shaky, you don't know if you can trust them. And no matter what they have put in place as safeguards, we've seen it time and time again in crypto. So, um, yeah, dude. I would like to think of it like this: if you own the treasury as the players, and ultimately down the road you're going to have the voting power to make decisions on that treasury, or to elect a council, or some sort of you know divvied up. We might have some of the treasury that's like everybody can vote on, and then we might have other parts of the treasury where certain teams manage it. But ultimately, those teams are going to be voted on and put in place, you know, by the players themselves, and the fact that players will have some sense of owning and participating in the treasury, I think that's good because you're going to make decisions and you're going to learn a lot about DeFi and lending, and you're going to manage risk a lot better when it's your own damn money and your own payouts for the game that are affected, I think. So if the protocol owned treasury that's earning the revenue that pays you out, any type of play to earn game in the past, it was very much like, hey, if you stake your token here, or if you stake your NFT here, or whatever the criteria is, effectively everyone could win. The only difference with Fight Farm really is that the payouts from the interest and the revenue in the treasury are determined by a random event, and that random event happens to be a fight. So I wouldn't say that you're betting on the fight. What you're doing is you're collecting all the damn NFTs. You want all of them, and there's other incentives in there besides that player winning the fight and you getting some small payout of tokens, right? Of stable coins. Because we're not going to pay you out in just the fight token. Yeah, the rewards points might be in fight, but the real winnings from the actual fight will be paid out usually in stable coins or other cryptos. And it's effectively like saying, hey, we're not going to pay everybody. We're going to pay the people who do two things. One, you have to buy the NFTs. Two, your percentage, like, sure, if you want to buy one NFT and stake it and be done with it, that's okay. That's all you have to do. It can be as easy as buy one NFT. I'm a collector. I like this fighter. I want his NFT. And maybe every now and then you get a little bit of a kickback, a little bit of a rebate uh, if he wins a fight. But here's the thing, people say, well, if it's not betting, then that means it's a security. Well, not really, because remember, it's a random event, and there's two events there that can that can prevent me or anyone, the DAO, from guaranteeing that you ever get any sort of return. It's not a security. We're not selling it, telling you that you're going to make money or that you're going to even make a profit, because you could have a fighter or you could have multiple fighters or multiples of the same fighter, and they win sometimes but they lose sometimes, but you still don't break even, right? But still, a little bit of a rebate on those for the wins they do get is not a bad deal, right? I mean, as long as you're getting money back, like, is it something to complain about? So the way I look at it is, it's kind of like profit sharing, uh, because you're the owner of the game and a player, right? And people would say, oh, well, that's a security. So, sure, your argument that it's not gambling is one thing, but it's a security then, Chris, because you're guaranteed. No, I'm not guaranteeing you're going to make anything. Because, one, I can't guarantee that when you get the NFT that you're going to stake it and leave it there at the time that they're fighting. You might pull it off and unstake it and forget to restake it. You might never stake it. You might put it on the secondary market and for sale and try to flip it. All of those things would disqualify you. If you're not staked to the DAO, which lessens what's on the open market, which is good for prices, which is good for resale, good for flippers. The more that's off the market, the better, right? Now, there's only a 2-week unlock currently. Once again, that could be voted on. Um, But the way I like to say this is, it's not a security because I can't guarantee that you're even going to stake the NFT. And um, even if you were to stake the NFT, I can't guarantee you that that fighter's ever going to win a fight. How many fights has El Kukui lost in a row? What's his damn name? Mexican dude, skinny dude from New Mexico. Anyways, he should probably retire, but I believe he's like on a 6-fight losing streak, which is unheard of because usually you'd be cut from UFC by now, right? Now boxing, they'll let you box to death basically, but in UFC, usually you only got 2 or 3 fights and they'll probably nix you. But he was a former champion and a great fighter and a good name, and he draws. So you know what I'm saying? What if you owned his NFT, which we don't, we actually don't have any of his NFTs. But what if you did? Could you imagine if you bought 6 NFTs in a row and every damn time you bought the NFT, he lost? You'd be like, well, Chris, you said I'd make, nope, I never said you'd make fucking money. I can't guarantee you'll make any money. Um, Now, if they win, sure, you can share in the profits of the protocol owned treasury. But I have zero control over that. That's a true random event in the purest form, because look at this fight we just watched. He was like a 12 or 1400 favorite, and the guy had zero chance to win. And if you had bought the favorites NFT, you would have lost. You would have not have gotten to share in that payout from the treasury. And it doesn't matter that he's the favorite. And it doesn't matter that you have this version and the previous version and the previous version. You could have 3 or 4 versions staked and they lose a fight. Those versions are effectively not paying you anything. But as fighting goes, typically there must be a winner between the two guys. Just like there must be a winner right now, and right now is going to be a great fight because we have one of my favorite fighters, Kevin Holland. For those who don't know, we do have an NFT for Kevin Holland. Now, I can't possibly host every fight right now. That's going to be something in season 2 or 3 once we have the ability to automate using smart contracts. Holland. Kevin Holland's another guy, man, on a Kevin Holland fight. And if I did, it'd be because he's an underdog, and I think, oh, well, he can always win. Look at his record: 26-12 and one no contest. For someone as good as Kevin Holland, 26-12, it doesn't. Those 12 losses do not represent how great of a fighter this guy is. He absolutely, at one point in his career, could be champion, and some still argue that he could be now. He just is one of those people, man, that he goes out there to bang and fight, and he's not one of those fighters that he goes by his game plan. He throws that shit into the wind and just goes. But is he going to beat? He's fighting Moicano. Yeah, Moicano. So Kevin Holland versus Moicano. I don't know that much about Moicano, I'll be honest. But he was the favorite to win. I think Kevin Holland was a slight underdog. But great example, right? Kevin Holland is one of those players where you could collect an NFT, be a big Kevin Holland fan, but man, you never know if you're going to get a payout with that guy. He's not one of these fighters that's had a winning streak. So in that sense, back to my original thought process here, I don't think it could possibly be a security because I can't guarantee you that you will take the proper steps of staking to earn to begin with. And I don't know that the fighters that you collect, the NFTs that you collect, are going to for sure ever win a fight in the UFC. So it's a true random event, right? And I have zero control over the randomness. Like people talk about, well, you need to have like a random number generator, or you got to have some sort of blockchain proof of whatever, whatever. Yeah, could there be like WWE or like even back in the old days of Pride, or I'm sure maybe even like we've seen boxing with Jake Paul and Mike Tyson, and everyone thinks all of Jake Paul's. Could there be rigged fights? Yeah, but even if there were, I have zero knowledge of who's going to win those fights. And it's definitely not. Ooh, Frank Trigger's the ref. So for those who don't know, Frank Trigger's one of the fighters. Had a good feud with Matt Hughes and some other guys back in the day. So yeah, this will be one of the first times if I've seen Moicano in the past. I don't recognize him. But they come out, a little bit of tap of the gloves. Moicano's right in, shoots for the single. Kevin is more of a striker. Now he's very long legged. He definitely can grapple and knows jiu-jitsu, but he's definitely a guy that likes to stand and bang. And Moicano probably knows that and says, you know what? First round, I'm going to take him down and stack him up on his neck. Kevin's got the right leg over. Can't quite set up the triangle because of the angle. Moicano's doing a great job of keeping that arm that's on the inside of the legs pulled, his elbows right under the backside of the knee and the calf, preventing Kevin from pulling the arm over and creating the angle needed to set up that triangle. So as they are back down into guard, we see Kevin is starting to slowly shoulder walk a little bit over by the cage. And I'm not sure if it was as much as he was shoulder walking towards the cage where Moicano was pushing him over there to pin him. It looked like for a second maybe Kevin wanted to go towards the cage. He looked over his shoulder. And sometimes they want to go there so they can actually do a shoulder walk up the cage, butt scooch, shoulder walk. Um, but yeah, it's super confusing on who was initiating super confusing on who wanted to get near the cage, but they actually have stayed off of it. I mean, they're like a foot away. So Moicano definitely is not pushing him up against the cage, and Kevin Holland seems content with staying there. He has a locked guard around the waist, and he's up on his shoulders, and he's trying to avoid eating punches and elbows. Back down to one knee from Moicano. He's got one knee up, one knee down. He's in standing, just kind of bent over. I would like to see him posture up here, and if he does posture up, he needs to make sure to keep 1 foot to the rear. You don't want to get the double foot sweep and get taken to the ground off of something so simple. He's got kind of a wide stance, but Kevin Holland's got really long limbs. I mean, you got to be careful there. He did try to tuck under and wrap one of the legs a minute ago, and you saw him slightly like move his hips. If he was down in the guard, you would think Kevin Holland might be pretty good at like pendulum sweeps or such. You weren't to get knocked out or anything. Like you're not going to win the fight just on your shoulders. So a little bit of a back attempt. Looks like double underhooks. Kevin Holland stands up. He's going to try to shuck him off here. He needs to go forward. He's kind of catty cornered off to the side. Forearm control. Now he's got, there you go. Now he's got the arm behind the chin. Kevin's got a little bit of a hand up blocking. He's going to peel, peel, peel. He's got 2 hands on the choking arm. Has a little bit of a body triangle. Kevin Holland. Oh my God, he tapped out. There you go, man. That's just one of those things, man, where he was probably zapped. He was on his back for quite some time. And dude, that's such an easy, like I won't say it's easy because it's not comfortable. When they get the body triangle on you and squeeze the wind out of you, it is absolutely not comfortable. But you notice Kevin Holland just laid there, right? As soon as they get the body triangle, you have to pull your feet to your butt. You have to start to turn to the opposite direction, right? You want to push off your heels. You want to push off your forefoot. The side that Moicano had the body triangle on, you have to turn him over to that side. Now Moicano, because he had the body triangle, he knows that's what Kevin Holland would have to do. So what's he going to do? He's going to open an attempt to switch the back control, and if he wants to go for a triangle on the opposite side, body triangle, he can. Uh, but that's the game you play, right? You have to switch back and forth. You can't lay there static and stagnant like Kevin. Look at him. He's got the right foot up. His left foot's not even down. His left leg's completely on the ground. He's not pulling his feet towards his butt. All you do is pull his feet towards his butt, get off of your left hip, turn over towards the right hip, and he has to unlace that triangle. As you turn, he has to adjust. And in that moment, that brief window that you can control, uh, 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 there's going to be some sort of result from you turning him over. Because if he leaves the triangle on, there is some foot lock options and some other stuff, but bare minimum, it's not comfortable, right? Now, some people that are jiu-jitsu maxis, those guys are very comfortable with the triangle side going down, but usually you have a less experienced person who knows how to finish and really put the pressure. But nonetheless, it wasn't a bad fight. Kevin Holland has had some really, really good stand-up bangers before in the past. I didn't know exactly how he was going to do. Uh, Moicano was all smiles, probably definitely happy he got a good rear naked choke, and that was a pretty easy win for him, right? He didn't do much in the first, standing up in the guard. Joe Rogan's going to talk to him now. Let me see what he says. And Joe tells him, yeah, pretty much textbook, right? In other words, he did all the things right. Kevin Holland, for an experienced MMA fighter, for a UFC dude, did nothing right on his back. He did block a few punches. He did go 2-on-1 on the choking arm to pull the arm down. But he spent all the time trying to fight the upper body attacks and did nothing to minimize the control on the lower body. Like, and that's the game, right? If you're an elite fighter, whether you're doing jiu-jitsu or grappling only, or if you are going to be doing any type of MMA, you have to be able to negate and fight jiu-jitsu and maybe keep themselves off the ground, but they don't spend enough time on the ground to really get comfortable, like Kevin Holland. He can really stay on his feet a lot of times in these fights, or he can like have just good enough defense to hang on until uh, the round ends and you start from standing again, right? But this is the problem. If you don't train and you don't get good on defending both the top and the bottom, you're just asking for an easy loss like this. Like that's there's no reason right now that Kevin Holland should have lost that fight. It was so early in the first round. Yeah, it was a rear naked choke. It probably caused him to become a lot more winded, impacted his breathing more. The choke is 20 times more effective with that body triangle than without it. Let's just put it that way. So they're scrolling through the crowd. Got Uriah Faber. I'm sure they got a few people. There's Chuck Liddell. Got some UFC Hall of Famers. Probably some famous people. Looks like we got the next fight coming up, and this next one is it Jouton? Houghton? Because sometimes their J's are like H's. Houghton Almeida. He has the highest submission. Missed the little thread there. All right, and he is fighting Sergey Spivak. He has a 28-3 takedown ratio. All right, two dudes I'm not as familiar with, so that'll be fun to watch. While we were waiting, first of all, let me text my friend. She was talking about how dominant Talbot got his ass beat. Diggy, diggy, diggy. Diggy, diggy, diggy. So I'm going to send her a picture of my wins. Diggy, diggy, diggy. Diggy, diggy, diggy. Okay, so yeah, I just sent her a picture of my DraftKings. Happy that I won. Yeah, so my partner Omer is trying to figure out the OmniFlix Market updated the marketplace recently, so it's our first time trying to figure out these payouts for these fights, and he's looking at it from the new perspective, the new marketplace. Now they fixed a lot of things on OmniFlix Market that are really great improvements, but they did change a few things that, at least in the current form, and they may not stay that way, but in the current form, they're not quite as good, and hopefully we'll see some of that change, but it's the first version of the new version, so we'll see how it goes. Let's see. All right, so I want to go over here. I just want to check and see. Got a few tweets here. We watched Scott, Bella, and Eric from Astrovault tonight. They were on Dark Side of the Podcast, KPOD Network, showing off the new look of their new studio. Very nice, very kind of dark theme with black curtains. Had the lighting looking really good. They had a few audio problems, but that's to be expected setting up the first time. But like anything else, once they work through the problems and the kinks, I'm sure they'll get it nice. So I did recently get my blue check mark, and I never really cared that much about it. But it's when you're trying to run the business, it does make it, you know, it it's something that I wish you didn't have to do it, because I think everyone should be able to just come in and do it without paying any money at first. But you can't even message certain people if they have a blue check mark. And I get it, it's a great deterrent. But man, as someone who didn't have the check mark and I needed to talk to specific people, and these are people who knew me, and you would start following them, or you get a new account and you're following them, but they're not following you yet, and you can't even send them a message. So let's see. What I did do was go in and get the blue check mark for Fight Farm, and there is my. All right, got a little bit of views, a few likes, little meme right here. Getting ready to watch Aline Perez. Of course, I said that leads to back injuries. But no, let me check out the premium just because I do want to take a look at analytics real quick. Because my analytics were not great. I'm not an influencer. I'm not a person who is like, a live streamer. But I'm trying to learn and get better so that I can promote Fight Farm and actually grow the brand. So engagement went up a little bit. Uh, Impressions are showing down. Engagement showing down. This is like the first time I've seen. I put this up earlier, and on my cell phone, and everything was like super up. So I don't know what's changed since my two live streams today. If I've impacted my rate in some way, because impressions are showing like 14K, but dude, like earlier today, they're like 140K. So I mean, that's a pretty big drop, man. Profile visits. Why did everything go so negative so quickly? Huh. Well, well, I don't know what I'm gonna do, but that's a shock. Everything was kind of like feel like things were starting to look kind of good. And now I'm not sure. So let me take a look here. Because that doesn't make any damn sense. So look at analytics. Okay, so that's why I think I'm looking at the. I think I'm looking at the wrong. It's like a slightly different way of being set up here. So let me go back. Premium. So when I look at analytics, that's so weird. It's showing like impressions for. Oh, you know what? I know why. Because I have this set to daily. Pay period. Or is it weekly, monthly? Daily impressions. Yeah, so that's wild. Like on here it says 14,000 uh 800 impressions. On here it says 189,000 impressions. So is that total? There has to be something that's like different. Okay. But anyways, I'm going to be watching this and trying to watch some videos and walkthroughs and basically effectively do things that can help me. Um, but while we're here, let's take a look. So you have UFC 311 today. You have Marab versus Umar. So this is our machine gun versus the bird, and you can see their NFTs right here. So that was the one of one. That was the one of one, and this was the regular edition and the regular edition. Uh, that's a little bit muddy for my taste. Um, I really wish I had done a better job, but it's so hard sometimes when we're doing the AI to get something that is very jujitsu-y. A lot of the ground stuff becomes very muddy, and the arms and hands and stuff are very bad. The fact that he had like an inside foot post and the bottom right leg was like a little bit of a hook behind the leg, and Marab has that good wide stance. He's looking right down at the fighter's eyes, and he has his gloves up like he's ready to pounce. I just thought it was a good picture, but man, I really didn't get the result that I wanted. A little bit muddy for my taste, and that's usually not something that you'll see. Um, but that post was for the co-main event, and then let me see if I can find the main event. Which this now changed because Moicano came up, and he's going to be fighting uh, Islam Makhachev, and you know sometimes the main events fall apart. I'm happy they found someone to replace him on 24 hours notice. But let me see if I can find the fight. So this is where Armand had pulled out, and they found a replacement. So we had Spice editions. For those who are not familiar with Spice, Spice is a meme coin that's in the Cosmos ecosystem. It is the first meme coin that lives on the Akash blockchain. Akash is a cloud computing blockchain, one of the only blockchains in Web3 that has an actual business model and revenue model behind it, that is pretty much independent necessarily from crypto, because anybody can buy cloud storage, cloud computing. You're competing with the likes of Amazon, Apple, Google, Microsoft, and blockchain is going to be a big part of that, right? Web3 is going to be a huge part of that. Um, so when we look, there are the co-main events. I promise, if I keep scrolling long enough, I'm going to get down there to them. But I made Spice editions. I think Spice could do well, and this isn't really the shield the token, but I like Akash. I like DPN, decentralized physical infrastructure. As far as an investment thesis, I think that's one of the best use cases for blockchain and crypto. And I promise, I promise I'm looking. I promise I had them. I don't know where the hell they went. I am totally glad that the fires did not impede on this event from happening. Oh, did anyone see the other night with my favorite girl here, Mackenzie Dern, getting that W? All right, so where? Nope, that's next month's fights. Has to be close. Here we go. So here are the Splice editions. Uh, there will be a replacement NFT for the new main event, so don't worry. Effectively, you get NFTs for free. There's a last minute pullout like this. So you can see the Mac here. This is the one of one Spice edition. This is his version 3. So that's the third NFT we've made for the Mac, which is pegged to Islam. Let the spice flow. Um, Here was Grit, and this NFT was our player Grit, our fighter Grit, who is pegged to Armand. So you will get a replacement NFT should you have his NFT. Then we had the regular version of Grit. You can see the sandy dunes from the Dune the movie, Dune the TV show. Spice, the meme, is based on the actual movie and TV show for Dune. This was his version 1, so first time we ever featured Grit. And of course he pulls out, so imagine that. Then we have the regular edition of the Mac, a little bit bloodied up, turned up, excited, and you know, you know, that is the 4 NFTs that were for tonight. So 2 of these NFTs still stand. The other 2, you will see the replacements come out tomorrow when we do the payouts. And that means you got 2 for the price of 1. Be sure to stake the new ones for tonight's fight. Imagine if he comes out as a 24-hour replacement and he wins and you got his V1s for free, right? That is the power of Fight Farm, and that is how we like to run the game. Effectively, now let's keep in mind here, they got a replacement, and Islam Makhachev stayed in the fight. If both fighters had withdrawn for some reason, which we've seen before, or if you had a fighter that, fighter A withdraws, they choose fighter B as a replacement, and then fighter B, or the original fighter B, says, no, I'm not going to fight that guy. You know, there are times where we're just going to say, okay, we're going to scrap it. But as long as they find a replacement and the original fighter agrees to fight the replacement, we're typically going to airdrop you that replacement NFT for free, which I think is a great value. And I'm excited because if we look tonight, and this is Hanato Morcano's first fight in a main event like this, I believe. And he was he was a 24-hour replacement effectively. And people would like to think that Islam is going to mop the floor with him, and he very well may. But look at what we just saw with Talbot. if you think that there's no chance for Renato Moicano to win this fight, then you are lying to yourself. So imagine this from a fight farm perspective. You were ready for to see Arman and Islam, and whether you bought a single NFT for either of the fighters, or you might have bought both NFTs, right? Because you're a collector. And that's the name of the game, is collecting all the versions for all the fighters. This is like Pokemon or Hearthstone. Like you need to collect all the versions, because down the road there's a big financial incentive and payoff if you have all the fighters NFTs when they retire. So, or leave the UFC, whichever comes first. Nonetheless, when they can no longer earn from the protocol and liquidity, I'm sorry, protocol owned treasury, you have an incentive to own all those fighters, because if you own all those fighters NFTs, you can actually burn them, which reduces the supply, mint a legend NFT, and then use that NFT to steal rewards from other players out of that protocol treasury. So there's a lot of gameonomics and incentive structures built into this. So imagine that you buy the Grit NFT, and you might have bought the Mac and the Grit, or you might have just thought Armand was going to win, and you wanted to put a little bit of a spin on it and say, let's just buy the Grit and stake it and see if he wins, get a little bit of a rebate, a little bit of a kickback, and all of a sudden he's out of the fight. Hinato Moicano comes in, and not only did you get the NFT, but he wins and he pays out. Well, what happens like 4 months from now when whether he wins or loses, the chances of Renato Moicano fighting again in the UFC this year is high. So he could technically lose this fight, and you could get a win from him later on down the road. And even if you didn't buy the V2 and pick up the next NFT for him, your first NFT, as long as it's staked, still earns. So there's a lot to this game. We're going to do a lot better job of calling this game. So the fight between Almeida and Spivak has started, and Spivak is a wrestler and has immediately got him on the ground. He's stuck in guard. One foot's over the hip, one foot is on the inside as an instep. He has a little bit of an overhook, pinching the right arm. He's just keeping everything in tight, trying to control him, trying to make him expend energy. He's trying to butt scoot and set up, get back towards the cage. He probably wants to shoulder walk and either spin and turn away from the cage, or shoulder walk up the cage. Of course, Spivak knows this, so he drives into him, begins starting to use his leverage and lower the hips, trying to pin him, getting a text. Let's see. But yeah. So I'm going to sit back on this one and chill for a minute. So you got some heavy shots coming from the top. Ba 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 ba. So, so there was a sweep somewhere in there. So let's see, is that Navy Star Farm still sitting? It was a good 50%, dropped down to 20, then I noticed it popped back up to 32%. If you're not familiar with Astrovault, uh, go to Astrovault, get some AXV tokens. You can stake them. They will pay you out 32.1% APR in Nibiru tokens, Nibi. So excited to see what the Nibiru chain can do this year. A lot of DeFi, a lot of social fi apps being built. And hopefully with ICS 721, we can see ourselves get over there, because this could be a way for us to move out of the Cosmos and over to EVM. And not that we would leave the Cosmos, but we could truly become not just multi-chain like we are in Cosmos, but like we could be multi-ecosystem. So uh, that is coming up very soon, guys. Very soon. So what I think, what I think I might do, because I am curious. Oh man, some big shots here. Spitback ate a big shot. He's hurt. Now Almeida's got a takedown of his own. Passed right up in the mount. It's a big old boy too, man. You don't want to be there. He's got the head covered. He's popping. He's trying to get up back up to the hip. Kicking off the cage there. Try to go over. Now he's worked back to his belly. He needs to tuck them knees up to the elbows. Oh, but he leaves it open. He's got the hooks in. He's trying to press the belly down again. He's got two hands over the head. They call it. Man, there we go. That's a TKO win for Almeida, it looks like. Do, 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 do. All right, so what we see here is, yeah, he clipped him, man. He was hurt. Oh, and then that uppercut following it. The left hook didn't quite, but ooh, the right cross. Yeah, he was lighting him up with some pretty heavy shots. Uh, then good back control. You know, he started to set up. He immediately shot the hooks in and pushed his hips forward, flattened back out. The shots to finish it weren't really that impressive. I mean, they weren't like didn't look like they were like killing him, but I think it's just because he was still flattened out and he was doing a poor job of tucking his knees back, his elbows, trying to work his way up. And if those guys are like really pressing their and driving their hips forward, you have to turn over. And the only way to turn over is like your hands are already up here. You have to extend one of those arms and start to go over and turn over to that side. And you're going to get lit up and hit the entire way over, but at least then you're intelligently defending yourself. So before they finished that fight, what I was starting to say was, Championship Rounds is reporting at Champ RDS. The UFC just posted and deleted these fight graphics for UFC 313. Alex Pereira versus Anklov, and then Justin Gaethje versus Dan Hooker. So two big fights there for March. If those fights are real and true, we will definitely get some NFTs most likely for both of those fights because this very well could be. I don't know how much Gaethje has left in the cooker to keep going. Um, we'll see, but definitely, I think for Alex Pereira, this would be maybe the first V5 in all of Fight Farm. He was the first V4, and quickly some other players caught up. You know who else might beat him to it? Dustin Poirier, if I'm not mistaken, has four as well. So it looks like both Alex and Dustin would be getting their V5s around the same time in this next couple months. But the big difference is Poirier is going to be retiring most likely after this next fight, opening his up for the Legend. And the first Legend NFTs that were eligible was the Fireman, which was pegged to uh, Stipe Miocic, and that was only version one and version two, so you only had to have two NFTs. And if I'm not mistaken, I think the V1 sold maybe 11 or like it was double digits, but it was low. And I think V2 probably had a few more. But you're going to see those legends really shrink the collection of how many the Fireman NFTs there are, both V1 and V2. And maybe that's going to really increase the value. But what gets crazy is when you get someone like Dustin Poirier, he's got five versions, right? And man, some of these versions are really cool because we had artwork where we teamed with Shaq over in Iran, and she did some really cool artwork for us. We also had another artist. Her name is slipping me, but man, those versions were wild. Uh, so I might have to reach out, and if this is going to truly be Dustin Poirier's last fight, I would love to make sure that we get some cool artwork done for this one. So I'll be reaching out to my contacts and trying to make sure that happens. Send Dustin out with a bang because he's had a hell of a career, and we'll make sure that his final NFTs that he's pegged to in Fight Farm are very reflective of that career. But the real cool thing is like, dude, if you own all 5 versions of the jewel, which the jewel is the name of his NFTs. And let me show you what I'm talking about because we were just discussing this earlier. When you look at our fighter peg and schedule, you can come down through here and you can find the jewel, and I'm almost certain that he's on a V4. There it is, the jewel. So Dustin Poirier, V1, 2, and 3. I could be wrong. Maybe he's only got 4, but I'm almost certain that's wrong. I need to go check because guys, you gotta understand something. Every now and then, I might miss marking this. I do eventually get around to updating it. Once again, this would be so much cooler if it would just automate it and update itself. And that would be a goal if you launch the app is to have the tracking be spot on. Because when you got people like me doing it and there's only so much time of the day, human error, right? Uh, so let's go over here and look real quick because I'm curious now. I don't believe there's any way. We're going to go down to not listed and we're going to search the jewel. If I could type right. And then let's see how many pop up here, right? All right, all right, all right. What happened? Maybe no items in this. That's not true at all. All right, let's try this once again. Bragging on how good OmniFlix is. So those who don't know, you can tab here and you can do collect now, not listed, not in transferable my NFTs. Got these options. You also have this activity button here that you can toggle on and off, and that will give you a feed to the side that shows you transferred NFTs, buys, sales, listings, how much they were sold for, what crypto they were sold for. Was it IST, USDC, Flix, whatever? But for us, we're just going to go to the not listed. That is the NFTs that are not listed for sale. And we're going to type in the jewel. All right, and there we go. So the first one here is, just so you know, this Anarchy NFTs, this Anarchy series were all one of ones of fighters, and they are not used. Uh, they are not used for the purpose of uh, Legends. So the people who own the Anarchy versions, right? Let's make this one full screen because it's a really good version for the jewel. And you can see I have the little jewel right here, man. How badass is that, right? And you can see the blood, the blood leaking from the nose. The the details, the blood leaking from the nose, the cauliflower ear, right? The follicles of the hair. I mean, it's a really good the tattoos, and then half of it's the jewel, other half is the Anarchy. Uh, but man, I wanted the Anarchy series because they're such like pieces of art to never be burned. So I labeled them as version 0.5, which means, you know, you can only do version 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 whole number or dot 5 versions, but it has to be whole number or dot 5. So version zeros are disqualified. They're not intended to be in the Legends game. Like these are intended to be collector's editions, one of ones. Now on regular editions like these, you can do it. But let's look. So right now you have the jewel, and this is featuring Pichro Farnaz, and I hope I'm not butchering her name. She's a very good artist. I love her work, but this was her version for him, and that was the V3, right? So maybe he doesn't have a V4, and maybe I'm just crazy, bro. Maybe I was having the same conversation in my head when we were imagining the V4s, the very first V4s coming out. So there's definitely a lot of V3s here. Here's the V2s. Once again, we have an artist, Shaq, right? And then the old school ones, old school Fight Farm V1s. The Jewel One right here. Can you believe this? This was probably the first NFT in the collection, if I'm not mistaken. I think Justin Gaethje fought Dustin Poirier, and I can't remember if that was the first. Uh, no, it wasn't the baddest motherfucker match, but later on down the road, when Dustin Poirier and Justin Gaethje had a rematch, I think that was a BMF title match. See, this is where it's all started, right here, old school. And as you can see, how many are right there? One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, right? One, two, three, four, five, six, seven. There's eight, and maybe on the market there's two listed. Um, so there wasn't a lot, and that's if there might be one listed. So there could be less than double digits of that first one. So what does that tell you? That tells you that it doesn't matter how many of these V2s are minted, how many of these V3s are minted, how many V4s we do. The most legends you could have for the jewel would be if all, let's just say eight, nine, which it says the 10 right here, but sometimes the number doesn't matter. Let's go over here and look real quick. I'm curious now. Maybe there's more Dustin, maybe there's more of the jewels listed than what I'm thinking. Okay, so there's three, that's why. So we had eight there, 9, 10, 11. So I guess that was double digits. But if you're looking there, like on here, we have one here listed for 120 IST, which is dollars, $41 and $99. So the only ones you can buy if you needed a V2 or a V3, like you can't buy it for less than that. So let's say Dustin fights, right? And you buy the Jewel V4. You have to come back and you have to purchase a V1, a V2, and a V3. And as you can see right now, the only thing listed is a V2 and a V3, and they're listed for between 41 and 120 bucks, right? And you go back over and you look at not listed, and there's plenty of them there that people could sell, but the most you could have would be these right here. And the problem with that is you're not going to see 100% of these original OG ones here burn. And should they get listed, my guess is they might push four digits. These very these first the jewel NFTs, they could very well, if some collector wanted to keep it and buy it, or if someone that's a player of the game wanted to buy a V1 because they need it to burn to get a legend of the jewel, if they want that legend jewel NFT, they're going to have it. So if they weren't around early on, back in like early July of 2023, when we first launched on OmniFlix, to get this NFT, that's where the secondary demand comes in. People sleep on the idea of this game because we haven't had a lot of. Stipe is the only fighter that's retired. We're just now getting to legends, which is what's truly going to give demand on the secondary. We've primarily been a every month you have a fight, you drop the NFTs for that fight. Not a lot of secondary action, but there hasn't been a demand. You haven't had enough people come to the game yet. There's not enough eyeballs on the product. Not enough people who are collectors are here to buy yet, but they'll come. They'll eventually hear about it. We're going to do some things to get the word out and attract MMA fans and UFC fans and combat sports fans and NFT collectors. So but think about it. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight. You have eight V1s right there, and that's it. There are 8 V1s. That means you can only have 8 max. The Jewel Legend NFTs that could be used to steal rewards from other players. That means whoever controls the market on these 8, they control the market of the legends. Because look how many there are of these V2s. One, that's a different art, but it's a V2.5, so it's technically you could burn it. I don't think someone's going to burn this one, the 90s blackout 3D, because it's such a piece of artwork. But I didn't exclude it. I didn't make it a 0.5. In retrospect, I probably should have. I don't think I was really thinking 0.5s back then to secure the artwork. But look at these: one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, 8. So there's 8 there, and we saw 2, I think, listed on. So the V2s, there's 10. That means that if all 8 V1s got burned, you would burn 8 out of 10 V2s. That means you would have 2 V2s left. So imagine if that were to happen. I mean, it won't. You're not going to see all 8 V1s burned because as they get burnt off and there becomes less and less, the demand from a collectability sports memorabilia. I'm a huge Poirier fan. That drives some of the demand, right? Fucked around and muted myself. I didn't realize if you touch the little icon here on the mic, you mute it. But anyways, uh, that drives the demand right there. You have the V1 for the jewel. Now you got 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. What happens when you get down to 3? Do you really think those 3 are not going to go for maybe 4, 5, maybe 6 digits in the next 10 years? I absolutely think they could. Why? Because Dustin Poirier is a legend. He is one of the greatest, most well-known, most popular fighters in the history of the UFC, and the artwork on the Jewel NFTs that are pegged to him are freaking awesome. So that was we had 8 of V1s, we had like 10 V2s. Now let's look at V3s. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. And then there's one listed, right? So that's 20. So that's where like subtraction on the game got. We had a big growth spurt. We were doing some marketing. I would like to think that Pichro's art with the goldfish there and the cat eye, which is badass. Because remember, when you bought these NFTs, not only did you have this Fight Farm NFT, but you got airdropped from a second collection. You got that cat eye goldfish art from that collector from that creator. You got that airdrop to you, so there was a lot of value in these NFT drops that we do with these collab artists. But if all 8 V1s and V2s were to be burned, you would see the total supply of V3s for the jewel go from 20 to 12. So that's a pretty big significant cut. But once again, you're not going to see all 8. I refuse to believe that those original all 8 are going to burn, meaning there'd be no V1s left of the jewel. I refuse to believe it because I think as soon as you go from 8765, people start to wake up and say, why am I selling this for $50 or $100 or $200? They're going to start to think, dude, they need this NFT to have the legend. And if I bought a V1 and I didn't buy a V2 or V3 or V4, it's probably more expensive for me to go uh, buy those than it is for one person to come down and buy yours. But the market's going to determine, that's pure market incentives are going to determine how that game plays out on the secondary market. So let's see how many we get on the Jewel V4, which will be the final NFT most likely that is pegged to Dustin Poirier as Dustin wraps up his career. That's going to be the second NFT that's eligible for Legend gameplay, and it's quite different NFT version and collection dynamics than what we had on the Fireman NFTs pegged to Stipe. So back to UFC, we are in the third from the top match. We have Jamal Hill taking on Yuri Proziska. And of course, both these guys are light heavyweights. Both of them have held the heavyweight titles. Both of them have had injuries and came back. And this is a very exciting match. I've been waiting for this one. Both these guys tend to have some good shows, but they don't always win. And but the fact that both of them are kind of similar in certain things kind of shows you a story that it's telling. But either one of these guys very well could be right back in the title contendership because most likely, um, even if they lose to Alex Perea or they lose to one another, they're probably not going to lose to other guys in the light heavyweight division. And if they were going to lose to them, those guys are probably newer, younger, and not ranked high enough to be in the title contendership like these guys are. So Yuri, man, he's well known for the hairstyle uh, with his ponytail and then and the Muay Thai stuff on top of his head, and he actually shaved his head bald for a girl who had cancer. And then I thought I saw a post where it said he proposed, so it made me wonder: is his wife? Ooh, big knee from Jamal Hill. But I think he thought he caught him in the nuts on one of those hits, so he actually stopped and was respectful and kind of gave him a dap and said, "Hey, sorry about that." Uh, okay, so they're trying to feel each other out. They're throwing some big heavy punches. Yuri's kind of moving around, kind of getting the distance, getting the range. Jamal Hill's entering very quickly, man. I mean, he's got a tiny little belly on him, which I can't say anything. I'm 40. I'm 46 now, and I don't have the leanest of bellies compared to what I used to. But his entry, he's wearing two knee braces, and I can't remember what he hurt when he was out before he came back and fought Alex. But his entries tonight a little bit fast, a little bit more, smooth entering. Yeah, these guys are just kind of throwing some strikes, filling things out. Um, Not a lot of significant, you know, strikes yet. No one has appeared to be hurt just yet. Oh, that knee was probably the best strike I've seen. Jamal landed a good knee, which, like I said, he dapped him and apologized afterward. I think he thinks he may have had a low blow. Oh! Now there's a significant strike. He just dropped Jamal Hill. Jamal quickly has recovered. He's wrestling right back up to his feet. But man, that was a big. Was that a right hook? And it looks like he just clipped Yuri. These two are starting to kind of get into it. They're starting to throw some heavy leather now. Boom, boom. Oh man, they're little hooks. Yuri getting a little bit of a yeah, nice little flurry, man. That was kind of like a feeling out process at first, where they were both throwing some stuff and not quite connecting. Then all of a sudden, that last flurry, they had a lot of connected shots. You had Jamal Hill get dropped. Then you had him turn around and hurt Yuri. So a minute left in this first round, and I believe is this a 3 round or a 5 round? I know it's a light heavyweight bout, and it's not a co-main event, so I'm going to assume this is a 3 round fight. But I'll be honest, I did not check. So, but, but, let's go over here and check. So, you guys, if you don't know, I am streaming both live to X and to YouTube. We will be going to OmniFlix TV very soon. We got 26 seconds left in this first round. You never know, man. I'm looking away, and I really shouldn't be because either one of these guys are capable of dropping and completely knocking out the other guy. I hate to be disrespectful this fight, but I'm just going to view my channel real quick, make sure this is like showing, and it is. So we're going on for. Actually, I don't know if we're going or not because actually we are. Yeah, Fight Farm, UFC 311, and Web3. Good, 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 good. Yeah, I just want to check. You know, I'm new to streaming. I don't really know what I'm doing, and you know, I need to share that because you know what, I need to remember that. So there's where Yuri dropped him. So that was a left cross. More look at it. Boom. He dropped. Man, it's such a weird. It was such a weird punch though. It wasn't like I. I feel like it knocked him down, but I don't think it necessarily like rocked his bell or anything. He seemed like he was you know knocked down but not hurt per se. Yeah, guys, we're getting into this, and we have round two underway. People are scoring this 10-9 for Yuri in round one, most of Twitter. So we see Twitter coming in 10-9 Yuri. What a crazy round. I guess they're giving it to Yuri based on the knockdown, which probably makes sense. Probably give him a slight edge on that round. But you never know, man. These guys are both light heavyweights. They carry a lot of power. They're both like lean and long, athletic light heavyweights. Um, Yuri really got has these crazy spinning kicks, man. Oh, but his movement is so it's so that's what makes me nervous about calling karate combat, man. Like I'm so used to grappling and jiu-jitsu and MMA rules and these kind of things. Um, but sometimes when it comes to the striking, like because I'm not like a kickboxer or a boxer, and I've only done a little bit of kickboxing and boxing, and primarily a grappler. So when I'm talking about striking, like I know like a jab, a left straight, you know, left jab, right hook, left hook, uppercut. You know, I know the names, and of course with MMA you learn like the inside leg kick, outside leg kick, the calf kick. There's the teep. I mean, there's a few different ones that you learn, but dude, karate combat is so wildly more advanced in striking, and because you don't have to look at grappling the same way. Now we're going to talk about that as we head into karate combat. Grappling still plays a part. As long as you're working in the clinch, you can absolutely clinch, and you can do some throws, and you can do some takedowns. And once you take them down, there is a few moments you have for ground and pound. Slightly different rule set than UFC and MMA. It is not submission based, so you can't necessarily get a submission, although they do have the pit submission series where you're doing jiu-jitsu inside the pit. The other thing we're going to talk about is the actual difference between a pit and a cage. Uh, but yeah, it makes me a little bit nervous because I'm not like a technically proficient striker. And although I do know from an MMA perspective and a fan perspective, like a little bit how to call striking. Oh, they're throwing hands now, dude. Jamal Hill is looking sharp and fast. He did not look, in my opinion, this sharp or fast when he fought Alex, and I think that was his first fight coming off the injury, or was it his second fight? They've had an eye poke earlier where Yuri caught Jamal. I don't know what this was. It was a low blow, or he say he got hit in the eye. He's walking around. I think he's saying there's an eye poke. Yeah, he's touching the eye. So we'll see right here. Oh yeah, Jamal on the replay, you can see it. Man, and Yuri's reach, he caught him with that jab, that left jab, and he had two fingers right under Yuri's left eye. So Yuri had a right to stop that. It was weird because I didn't see it initially from the first angle, but on the replay it was very clear and you could see it. So he's still over there, and he looks like he's starting to clear out and give him the thumbs up. They're showing the replay once again, and while they're doing that, actually he called for a towel. So while they're doing that, I'm gonna go back to Fight Farm real quick, and yeah, that kind of explains how legends work on a low level. There's some more to it, and we'll talk more about that in the future. But yeah, be on the lookout because Alex has a V5 coming up. We have the Jewel with a V4, and that's likely going to be the Jewel's last NFT. And you know what? I'm going to message her right now and ask her for 4 NFTs for the Jewel. And she just did some really cool NFTs, some really cool NFTs recently. And I'm going to ask her if she can pause. And sorry, guys, I just want to make sure that so it looks like the actions returned. They got 2 minutes and 15 seconds left in the second round, and okay, I'm gonna stop and pay attention to the fight real quick because I don't want to miss this one. I feel like one of these guys might get knocked out. These guys are throwing. So yeah, I want to ask her because we just had I forget the girls' names, but nonetheless, it's one of the women's champions, and there's another fighter, Maya. Is it something de Bueno? I forget her name. But anyways, I think she has like 2 or 3 NFTs now, and this was a version 2 for the champion. And I asked her to make some artwork to be used as backgrounds for both of these fighters, and the 4 pieces of art I got were very impressive. And while um, as the women, while I do like their characters and I do like them as fighters, I'll say they're probably not my favorite women's fighters, but probably some of my favorite women's NFTs simply because of the background art on these two. Man, she did such a good job. I really enjoyed the outcome. I got so many compliments on those 2 NFTs. And let me see if I search Shaq's name if she pops up. She might pop up if I search her name. Because if I could show this artwork, you would see what I mean. Because sometimes I label them or they say even the description Shaq. So here it is. Here it is. Sweet. So this was Roca V2 with her in the background. But wait till you see the one of one right here. Here's the one of one. Look at that. That is Roca V2 right there. So you have this lady looking down, and remember, this background art, you got the airdrop of the full piece, so that's zoomed in. What you see there with the hood and the hair and the eye, like that's a close up of that woman's face. But man, you should see the whole piece of artwork. In fact, I'll go to that artwork here in a second. But that was the regular version that everyone got, right? And then here's the one of one. Now here's my Hermosa's version 1, and you can see the same thing: a face in the background, a baby. And the man, look at the one of one right here. Isn't that badass? Like I really loved that one. And you can see like her work. I've used her quite a bit in the series, right? She does wonderful work. I really enjoy it, and you know, she gets paid. Her NFTs when we do Fight Farm costs a little bit more because I got to pay her, and of course, she's in the royalties, and she's in the royalties when you get her own collection, and you can get all these pieces if you don't want the fighter in the UFC. You can get all these pieces separately from her collection. And I love supporting people who do cool art because I can't create art like that. I can create these cards. I can create fighters and trading card layouts and templates. I got a little bit of a graphic design background, but I'm not an artist. I used to draw when I was a kid, but I've never been like the best artist or best painter. But I love creating stuff. So I like meshing and working with people who are actual artists. And when you find someone that you work with that makes cool shit, you got to keep them around, right? So, um, I'm gonna try to get her to make me 4 NFTs for the Dustin, right? Oh, it looks like Erie just hurt Jamal Hill again. He's backing up. He's on the cage. Just grappled the head, big knee. He's pummeling the head. He's pummeling the neck. But Jamal Hill is still throwing big leather back. Busted nose. Looks like his left eye might have a little bit of swelling. But he's still firing back at Erie. Erie's got to watch out. Like you can't go in there reckless against Jamal Hill. Almost all Jamal Hill's like knockout or technical knockout clips. I know I've seen one or two. They're big punches that come out of nowhere, right? And that dude punches hard. There's a reason, you know, that he's in this in the mix for light heavyweight. People down him because as an all around MMA fighter, he may not be the biggest skill set. Um, you don't see him wrestling a lot and doing a lot on the ground. Like, but this whole fight's been two stand up guys, right? That's one reason like people love this kind of fight in the UFC, and that's one reason why karate combat is becoming so popular is because um, people want to watch dudes stand and bang, right? But not in the sense of boxing where you're going to clinch and like whatever. At least in the UFC, and definitely like in karate combat, like you can clinch, but you got to stay active. And there's no cage in karate combat. I mean, you can pin them on the wall, but the pit wall is radically different, and the way you have to play off that pit wall is radically different than what you can get away with on the cage. And don't get me wrong, I love watching both of them. Both of them have a different puzzle and challenge to solve. A little bit of head pummeling by, huge right hand by Yuri. Jamal Hill is hurt, but he is up and he is wrestling back up. He's to a knee. He is covering with left hand across the face. He's back up, but he had a short right hook, now a short left hook. Yuri is putting it on him, an uppercut, and he just threw him to the ground. Jamal is still in the game. 2 minutes left in this round three. Yuri is firing off. He just pushed him off of him. The ref has seen enough, and Yuri is going nuts. I'm not sure that the ref should have stepped in. Like Jamal was still intelligently defending himself. I get it. Like he was definitely eating a lot of punches, but I don't know, man. I hate when they tend to sometimes err on the side of caution for fighter safety, and I get it, but it's wild when they don't because it's not like he was laying there and doing nothing, right? It's not like he was laying there doing nothing. And if I'm not mistaken, I think I might have put money on Yuri. So I don't think I put a lot because this was such a close betting line, and these two guys were so identically. I think if you bet $10, you got $10 back with Yuri, and if you bet $10, you got $8 back with Jamal because Jamal is a favorite. So neither one of them were like heavily like favored to beat the other person. It was anybody's fight, honestly. And if I'm not mistaken, let me double check because I think I may have taken a little bit of profit off that uh, first $80 win tonight and threw it on Yuri, if I'm not mistaken, but I can't remember. It'd be nice if I did. I mean, it would just be as you can see, I'm not a big sports bettor. If anything, I'm learning how FanDuel and DraftKings and these things work because I need to understand the look, the feel, the flow of what MMA and sports people are used to when it comes to fantasy sports and sports betting apps. Because even though Fight Farm is not betting, we're a card collecting game. You do have to look at how those apps are laid out and what your typical MMA fan is used to. And you also have to look at games like Pokemon and Hearthstone and collectible card trading games, Magic the Gathering, because truly Fight Farm is a mixture of all those things. So let's look. Settled. And you know what? Oh, I didn't win. You know why? Because I didn't realize when I put it on there, it was a money line two leg parlay with Kevin Holland and Yuri winning. I should have just put the money on Yuri because I didn't think Kevin was going to win. I think I just messed up on that. Well, I'm still sitting at $83. So, I mean, that $80 win, I can lose the $10 I think I put on this one. So we are getting down to the last two fights where we have the co-main event. Marab is going to be taking on Umar. And we also have Hanato Moicano taking on Islam Nurmagomedov. And that's going to be the last two fights. Good job, Yuri. I'm going to go ahead and take a quick break, and I'll be right back, guys. Don't go anywhere. Two fights left. All right, testing, 1, 2. I'm back, guys, and they're doing the promo for Marab versus Umar. So we are getting ready for that co-main event. I did complete my Telegram message to my good friend Shaq. If you want to get to know her, feel free, guys, to follow us on Telegram. You can see the links to Telegram. It is Fight Farm NFT is the name of the channel. And eventually I'm going to have everything on here set up so you can easily access our Telegram, our Twitter, all of our socials, etc. So just be patient. Give me some time. This is my first walkthrough trying to figure this stuff out. For now, let me see if I were to pull up Telegram. So the link would be, or the search you would actually look for is Fight Farm Chat for the Telegram. All right, we got a cool opener coming down to UFC. Our video's coming out and has some really cool graphics up on the ceiling. They really up their intro quality. They're learning a lot, I believe, probably from WWE and probably even things like Karate Combat. Competitors are pulling out all the stops and presentation, and UFC, uh, man, their presentation is probably more WWE-ish now than it's ever been. And not saying they push the fights or the storylines like that, but I'm talking about like the intro graphics, the smoke. So Umar's doing his walkout. Yeah, I got the invite to Shaq sent out. And okay, let's see what else is going on here. Got the YouTube going still. I'm gonna go ahead and delay that. You know what I really need to see? So they had the Scott and Scott and those guys were talking earlier about the Trump token, and of course, I'm an anarchist, and I don't really support any politician, and I definitely disagree with them launching the Trump. But if there's any way for me to possibly profit off of it, you know, and as of right now, I've made slightly a little bit of money. So I put $50 on it. I bought two Trump at 25, 2.08 Trump at like $25 each, mainly because I feel like with the inauguration coming up, it's going to pump. Now, I don't believe that long term, I agree with Eric and Scott wholeheartedly that this is going to fail. But the person in me that likes to take advantage of what the market is and how silly some people in the market are, I just feel like there's many times where I have not captured the value based on principle. And being risk adverse because we don't know how this is going to play out, I wasn't willing to throw hundreds of dollars at it. I'm not going to risk hundreds of dollars on something that's very unpredictable. Um, but what I did do is say I'm going to do 50, right? And my plan was because it went from like 32 to about 25 today. My plan was to see like, does it continue to sell off going into the inauguration, and you buy on the way down? And yes, you're losing money technically, but you know it's going to pump on inauguration day. I feel like so it's kind of like one of those plays where I was like, let me buy as it decreases. And as soon as I bought, it actually has pumped more. but I don't expect it to continue to do that. There's already some red candles on the 15 minute. So yeah, if I can flip my 50 into say 500 or even 250, I'll be happy. And I think that's very possible with this token. I don't know what they're planning to do with it. It's a very stupid move on Trump's part and the U.S. part. And I also heard that the company that's managing the liquidity and managing the Trump token for him is planning on launching the USA token. So if and when that happens, I'll probably be a lot more prepared to get in on the ground floor of that one and quickly dump it. All right, here is Marab's intro. Same thing. Good graphics package as they lower down. Uh, Umar was very, very much like orange. I'm sorry, a blue and icy type intro graphics. I'm not sure where they show these graphics. It's like gears and like, but I get it. I guess he's like, is he the machine? I don't know. For my game, we have machine gun because that little dude is a machine gun. Um, People have really written off Marab, and yeah, the machine. That's his nickname. Okay, so that's where they get the gears and stuff. Well, for my game, we have a fighter named Machine Gun. So I'm gonna say that mine's a lot cooler. So in fact, earlier when we were talking about the NFTs that were the anarchies, I'm pretty sure I have a Marab Machine Gun Anarchy NFT that is pretty badass. Let me pull that one up real quick because some of these ones, like this is the latest one, right? But some of these ones, like there are certain ones that stand out in my mind because they're very unique. Of course, we have some pixelated ones, you know, a little bit of throwback. But yeah, look at this one. Tell me this isn't bad. This is freaking amazing, and it's never going to be burned for a legend. So I have Machine Gun and the fighter. It's a version 0.5 Anarchy, and behind him you have the anarcho-capitalist anarchy symbol, and you have the gun itself. And dude, I love this one. I wish I owned it. I don't know who owns it, but I would. Actually, you know, I know who owns it. My friend Bibby. I know that address. So my friend Bibby, who has helped out on the project and is a semi quasi teammate, he actually owns that one. If I'm not mistaken, he actually owns a lot of the Anarchy series. He was one of the biggest buyers of that series because it didn't get as much uh, participation as I was hoping for a bunch of one on ones. But you know, Bibby's one of those people that I think he gets that not now, but eventually, if the masses come, that think about this. If Marab wins this, you know, fight and keeps the belt for a while, and he goes down as one of the as one of the best champions. I mean, you're talking about a one of one with him with an actual machine gun on his damn, you know, NFT, and it can't be burnt. You know, it's one that's purely for collectors. I mean, if you understand that part of it, this is not one for the Legends gameplay. This is for the collectors. This is for the fan. The value of these, and it's a one of one. There is no other version. So, all right. So they're doing the walkouts. Before they get started, I'm going to take a quick break. I need to blow my nose. I got a little bit of a tingle, allergies, and I'll be right back. Give me 2 seconds. All right, guys, I'm back. Thank you for your patience. Um, you know, I'm just going to say I'm just going to say before we even get started here on before we get to this co-main event and get started, I am going to quickly throw over to Karate Combat because we will be covering this next event. Excuse me. KC52 in Miami, Ren versus Screevers for the lightweight world championship. Karate Combat only on, well, not only, but as far as Cosmos goes, only on Omniflix. We will be live streaming to Omniflix TV. And if you're not familiar with Omniflix TV, you would just go right a few things. You're likely going to see us. But if you see here, this is Scott and Bella at the podcast live. They're the only ones with live TV as of right now. And you will see where you can watch us calling the Karate Combat fights and having a good old time and talking crypto and probably have friends join in. So follow us. Make sure you head on over to Twitter. And follow at D Podcast. And don't forget to follow our lovely Bella, the producer. And hers is at Bella the Prod. And for you guys that don't know, that is producer. But yeah, make sure you follow them. We are going to get together. We're going to call this KC52. And if you preview the card, they've already got a few different things up. I've been working with uh, their community leader over on Discord and Twitter, and he's going to have us set up to do, I think, $250 worth of karate tokens. Of course, Sisla and the Omniflix crew have committed to doing a giveaway of the Flix token, and we will have probably some NFTs on Fight Farm. We might have some Power Bottom tokens from Scott, and of course the Fight token for myself. So plenty of giveaways, plenty of fun. We'll be talking all things Karate Combat, all things fighting. They'll be in the new studio. Hopefully they'll have some of the technical difficulties worked out. I've got this new setup, so hopefully I can find a way to integrate myself and get all the kinks worked out. And now we're going back right now to UFC 311. We have Merab versus Umar, and this one is the one I've been waiting for. These next two fights are the ones I've been waiting for all night. I've got about $5 on Merab, not a lot, but he's a slight underdog. So, being the fact that he's a champion and he's the underdog, I'm like, let me throw $5 at him, and I think I would win like 15 or 20 bucks, maybe 17 bucks, somewhere in that range, should he pull off the win. But Umar is considered the favorite. He is undefeated. Of course, he trains with the rest of the Dagestani Nargomativ crew. So uh, probably a little bit less, um, probably a little bit less experienced than Marab. But you'd have to think you're training in Dagestan, like they get their own experience, right? So yeah, guys, excited, excited, excited. That's going to be next Friday, January the 24th. Make sure you are there. Make sure you watch this week leading up. I didn't get a lot of practice in on the Karate Combat with Scott and Bella yet, but hopefully we will. They've been busy with the studio. I've been busy getting all this equipment and my stuff set up. Of course, had some personal stuff outside of the Twitter realm go on this week that kind of interfered. Ooh, hard left from I think it was a hard left from Umar. These two guys are sizing each other up. They're circling, lots of feints. Marab immediately had a quick knockdown on Umar, but he kind of just tripped. That was more of as he's stutter stepping and sliding in and throwing that punch, he just kind of like threw him off basis. But Umar's kicks look really nice. He's so fast and snappy, man. Like this is a thing where if Umar wins and get this belt, like he's gonna have a ton of good fights in a row, and you're talking about having like Islam. Uh, was it one weight class off? I think. I think these guys are one. These guys are bantamweights. They're what 135. Is that 145? I'm so bad with the weight names sometimes. So lightweight's 155. I think bantamweight's 45 and flyweight is what 35 in men's. And it's even worse when you go to like that's the other thing too. You go to other organizations like one one and karate combat and these different things, and then you got the grappling weights, dude. It's a lot to keep up with sometimes. Sometimes I don't even say the name of the weight because I know they're 155, 145, 135, and then of course once you get to 155, then instead of a 10-pound difference, it jumps up to 170. So they start going in 15-pound increments, right? From 55 to 70, 70 to 85. And then there's the big one, right? You go from 85 to 205. That's a 20-pound increase. And then 205 to 235, right? For heavyweight. So, or is it, yeah, I think it's 235. So that's a 30-pound increase. So, yeah, weight structures, man. Part of me wishes sometimes we had like these 10-pound increments in the UFC, but that's a lot of weight classes. Part of the reason I think UFC's magic in promoting is because you had less weight classes and less champions, and yeah, it kind of impacts the closeness of some of the fights. But that's a good thing, right? Because then you have stylistically styles make fights. You have different weight classes, and we've seen time and time again like weight is and athleticism are definitely things that impact high level fighters. If you're equal on all of the things, sure, the athleticism and the weight disparity and these different things and conditioning and cardio, all these things come into play and make a difference. But we've seen it time and time again where, like, look at Marab. He's a short little dude compared to Sean O'Malley, and look what he did to him, right? Just dominated him. So you can't say just because someone's small that they don't have the ability to win a title or to be competitive in a specific weight class. So that was a big right. It was a left, right, or a right. But definitely a right cross there from Umar. Caught him square on the chin, kind of punched him back a little bit. 10 seconds left. There's a timer. I hope they pull up the Twitter tweets on this one, right? Because I would really like to see who they give that round to. My guess, if I'm going off the top of my head, my guess just on the visuals is maybe they would give it to Umar. But it was actually a really close round, so I could see the argument going either way for that round. Which is what's dangerous about these 5-round title fights, right? Is you never know. So while we're on this 1 minute break in between rounds, they're doing the replays. Okay, that was a right and a left from Umar. And he had a left hook to a right cross. The left hook barely missed, maybe grazed him, but not really. I think he kind of missed. But that right cross was flush. Yeah, see, do you count the knockdown from Rab? That's the real question. At the very beginning of the match, was that more of a trip and a fall, or a fall, or was it an actual knockdown? Some people may view that as a knockdown, in which case you could easily say that's for Marab. I guarantee you, if you ask Marab in the post fight whether he wins or loses in the post fight, he's going to say that was a knockdown. He's absolutely going to say, I knocked him down. What are you talking about? Are you blind? So the next round is off. 4 minutes, 30 seconds left. And they're circling, lots of feints, lots of feeling each other out. Um, I hope to see Marab a little bit more aggressive on the entries this round, like that, sliding in. Because look at Umar. When Umar slides in, dude, like he covers like a really long entry. And that's what you got to say out of Marab is it's not about whether or not he lands the strike or not, right? It's about using that ultra long entry so that you can actually set up the takedown effectively. Because you saw while he did attempt that entry a few seconds ago, he didn't quite get a hold of the leg because he was a little bit shallow in the entry, right? It's because he's kind of staying too far at range. I feel like even there, right? He ducks in, he goes for the hips, and a lot of it is like you have to set up the takedowns and the wrestling with the strikes. If Umar does not respect your striking, if he doesn't think that you're going to land a strike or a punch and he's not worried about it, he's just going to be defending the takedown the whole time. So you can't just slide in and hope to get the takedown. You have to land and have some damage. You need to be able to effectively deploy both the striking and the grappling. But the grappling for Marab is going to play off of the strike, right? And that first two he missed. Now the second one he actually had a good hold on that single, but as soon as he started to get him to the down, and he keeps picking his face. Something I don't know if he got his nose hurt, uh, but Umar did a good job of circling hip down pressure, circling the side, flipping over, taking the back. He's got one hook in, one hook out right now. Looks like a slight cut over the eye, Marab. He's smiling. He's having a good time. He's just doing what Marab does and pretending like nothing in the world matters, even though he needs to be thinking about who he's in the ring with. But I think that's part of Marab's marketability, and that's part of he makes it look like a good time. Like I don't think he lets the pressure get to him. I think he's in there, and he truly believes that he's going to win every fight, and he truly believes that he's the best in the world, and that's you can't teach that. And even if you're not the best fighter, if you need to have that confidence, um, but you don't want to be overconfident, right? Because the takedown stuff that he's trying right now, it was so easy and it worked so effectively on a guy like Sean O'Malley. But you got to realize Umar is not Sean O'Malley, right? You're gonna have to. I really hope that we see a little bit more better striking out of Marab as he holds the title, if he makes it through this fight and holds the title, because that's effectively like what's going to help him keep it. Like we know you can wrestle, but if everyone else knows you can wrestle and all they do is prep wrestling defense and they don't respect your striking, I don't know. There you go. Get in there and mix it up. So far, uh, I'm gonna have to give a slight edge to Umar, man. Like like I would say if I gave the first round to Marab because of the takedown, I could see that. Um, we're 53 seconds out, and I don't know that in this match or this round, the second round, I would give it to Marab at all. Even though he's had some moments, like overall, I think Umar looked a lot more crisp, playing a lot more actual strikes, and really countered the wrestling of Marab gracefully, and even got a takedown with not a full double hooks in, but he had a single hook in. So yeah, I would if I was going to be a judge right now, I would say I would give. You would have to either go 2-0, Umar, or you would have to go 1-1. If you give Marab the knockdown in the first round, I suppose you could say it's 1-1. And I don't know that every judge or every fighter or every fan looking at this would say that's a knockdown as much as it was a almost like a driving fall. But I don't know, man. If you put them on their ass, even if you pop right back up, but it's definitely not one of those takedowns where you hold them down, secure the takedown. It wouldn't be something like in a grappling match where you're getting points necessarily. You're definitely not keeping them down and doing any damage. So corners there, they're telling Umar to calm down. He's got a little bit of heavy breathing in his corner, but he looks good. He looks composed. Marab, on the other hand, actually looks a lot less, a lot better on breathing, a lot more calm. And that's what I'm saying. Like that's the difference, man. Like you want to see like Marab like turn the heat up, turn the intensity up a little bit though. I just don't think that's his style, personality wise. I don't think that means he's not doing it. I think mentally he is trying to turn it up, but I just don't think you're going to visibly see it per se. Whereas you could see, you know, Umar Nurmagomedov is very, very, very. He's very focused right now. Like you can tell he wants this. All right, round three, 5 minutes. Let's see where this one goes because man, his kicks are so lightning fast, dude. So they're saying 2018 after Umar is Aaron Bronson. He's handling Marab wrestling masterfully. I'm gonna go with Nurmagomedov 10-9 and give him 2018 after two. Close fight so far. That was nil. Uh, Umar's grappling and takedown defense is out of this world. And they're not wrong. Like you're talking about Marab mauls people, right? Any other dude in the division, he mauls them. He destroys them. They can't handle his wrestling, and Umar is just like, shucks it right off. The question is like, can he do that continuously for the next 3 rounds? Is there going to be an opening for Marab? But once again, I'm going to go back to this. I truly believe that if you don't make him respect the hands, if he doesn't fear any of your striking or punches, your grappling is not going to be nearly as effective. So if you are focusing on anything this camp, screw the wrestling. Like we all know you can wrestle. We know if you get in there, you can't just make your wrestling better and beat Umar because he's got great grappling too. Where you're going to have to like really catch Umar's, your striking is going to have to, yeah. See, your striking is going to have to do something special. And right now, I don't see that it's doing anything special. And Umar striking on the other hand is specifically, I mean, his punches look great, but his kicks specifically look phenomenal. Um, and once again, this is one of those things where everyone said, uh, everyone said that, oh, what was that? Everyone was saying that Marab didn't stand a chance. And even if Umar Nurmagomedov wins this fight, it's not like he is steamrolling Marab. Like these two are very, very, very close as far as like skill sets. I think where you see the deficit on Marab is the striking is not nearly as crisp. But that doesn't mean he can't do it, right? Like there's going to be openings. And maybe that's what it is. Maybe like your striking doesn't have to be as good as Umar's, but you have to have different openings and different moments, and you have to create opportunities. And sometimes that's just about creativity and grit and hustle, right? Like even right now, this last 10, 15-second flurries. Now look what Umar tries to take him down to. Umar like, no, nope, you can't do it. So that shows you, like, even if he's not getting the takedown on Umar and his striking, like, and then he does, he throws him down, and Umar, he lets him know too. He says, see, I just threw your ass to the ground. He's letting him know, like, I've got this. You're not going to take me down, but I'm going to throw you down the ground. Um, but that's where it's like, yeah, but that's not enough to win the fight. Like you just got this takedown, good roll through right there, and of course Marab's smiling because I think he recognizes that was well played on Umar Nurmagomedov's fault. Uh, half, uh, dude, he's talking to the crowd. I feel like this is not the moment. You don't want to look back after 5 rounds and losing this fight and feel like you were too playful and you weren't taking this serious enough. Because look, as soon as he turned to the cage and separated, like okay, you spent how many seconds talking to the crowd and not just turning? Or is it because you need to talk to the crowd and let Umar think that he can rest for a second in order to have that advantage to turn from the cage? So that very well could be it. Maybe part of the psychological warfare for Marab is letting Umar think that he's not taking it serious. Maybe he's trying to get Umar to let his guard down so that he can get that turn off the cage like that. Because otherwise, okay, now you grab the cage with a hand. I'm surprised the ref did not see him grab it at all. Oh, so Umar finally got it pick up in a takedown. He's tried to grab the far wrist, couldn't get it. He went up to the far shoulder, far bicep, a little elbow from Marab to make him pay. Now it appears he's holding up the number 1 sign on top of the cage. Oh, a little push. I think Umar's getting a little bit frustrated at the antics of Marab. Marab's got a little cut, a little bit of blood flow. But yeah, that was the most fun round of the fight. I feel like that was the most back and forth, and maybe Marab is getting under Umar's head psychologically speaking a little bit because that was a good back and forth flurry. Both fighters got some good stuff in. The grappling looked great. He did a little bit better on some of the takedowns, although he didn't secure it and do any damage off of it. But Umar looks exhausted as well. Marab looks, Umar's breathing heavy, sitting on the stool. Marab's standing, acting like he's not exerted any energy at all in this fight. So is cardio going to be a factor going in rounds 4 and 5, right? Um, Remains to be seen. But yeah, guys, once again, reminder we are going to be doing Karate Combat KC52. This is going to be live on January the 24th, Friday night. I believe 7 p.m. is when it goes live. However, that's the main card. The pre fights might be starting around 5 o'clock Eastern time. So, uh, round 4 is starting. Be sure to follow me. Be sure to check us out. We will be live on OmniFlix TV. I don't know that we're going to be on YouTube or X for this first one. They're still pressure testing and working some stuff on OmniFlix. So don't miss out on this. This is a very incentivized, very well incentivized launch party, watch party for us. We have a clean feed. You won't hear the announcers at all. You might hear some of the sounds from the audience, maybe some interviews. Oh, nice little takedown once again from Rob. Maybe some interviews from outside the pit on the side. Maybe you'll hear the packages. Effectively, this is the package they would give to overseas people who are going to have their own announcers speaking in a different language. The difference is, and maybe Scott and I do speak in a different language, because we are kind of weird like that. But nonetheless, we are going to be having complete control of the live feed to talk about the things we want to talk about, to call the matches as we see fit. It's going to be very, very fun. And we might have a few guests here and there. I'm not sure on this first run through how we're going to structure it. We really don't know because we haven't had access to the live feed, to the clean feed. We don't know how the timing is going to be as a match stops. And Karate Combat is typically kind of chaotic. It's so new, and the time between matches and stuff. It definitely feels more chaotic than say a UFC. There's a certain structure and flow that UFC has down. And sometimes when you watch these boxing events that kind of have like weird structures and flows, that's kind of like what Karate Combat reminds me of. But they tend to fill it with entertaining stuff. And for us in the crypto community and Web3, uh, we really tend to, okay, nice little flurry from Rob there. And which, I mean, Umar, it's not like he connected, but he was really trying some cool little elbows on that get up from the takedown defense. This one is so difficult to score, and there once again, Umar Nagomedov with those lightning fast kicks. Felt like a little question mark kick, and it might have been like a low. See, that's where I'm struggling with like some of the names of the kicks. Um, you know, I can talk jiu-jitsu. I can tell you about all the different joint locks and arm bars and triangles and omoplatas and the different types of sweeps. But man, you get into striking sometimes, and like, oh, he kicked him. Yeah, no shit. But I'm going to get better. Part of learning to be announcers and announce the fights. That means I'm probably going to go. Luckily for me, when I do jiu-jitsu here in Louisville, training at an MMA gym, my last gym that I came from was primarily jiu-jitsu only. Although we did have MMA fighters in there, and Always did a little bit of striking here and there, but I am not a striker. I do not want to punch you. I do not want to kick you. I don't want to get punched or kicked in the face. I want to take you down and choke the shit out of you. Just want to end your life that way. Okay. Um, so I know the game. I can talk the game of grappling, but I'm going to have to learn to talk the game of striking, which means I'm probably going to put a little bit more time into striking this year. And as an old man who understands the fact that grappling is only as good as your striking, because look what we were just talking about with Rob. I'm telling you, his grappling is only going to be as good as his striking, and I feel like in the last round and a half, he's starting to get the respect of Nurmagomedov with his striking. He looks way more active and effective in punching with intent. He's turning this into a dogfight, which is exactly what you wanted to see him do, honestly, from round one. But I think Umar's finally losing a little bit of steam. He's looking a little bit slower than previous rounds, and I think that Merab has identified that. So they're looking at Merab this round 31-16 on striking, whereas round three it was 18-13. So and they had the first two rounds as a tie, 14-19. So the first round, if you count the takedown, you would theoretically still give that to Merab if the striking was even. That would technically, man, that would technically, if well, you can't do that. They're showing just the strikes uh, there, so those aren't necessarily indicators of who won the round. But this could be 2-2 or even 3-1, um, depending on how you score it. All right, so round four in the books. Man, this has been a good one, and I'm telling you, so many people this week said Marab stood no chance. Umar's going to destroy him. He's going to finish him, and you can just tell. You can tell by the body language. You can tell by uh, you can tell by the way what's his name is talking to him right now. What's his name? The greatest fighter in the world in the history of the UFC. The greatest fighter from Dagestan ever, who I just can't remember his name for some reason right now. Anyways, he's pretty much kind of like, look, dude, do you want this? Like, which I've got headphones on. I don't know what the hell he's saying to him, but I would be saying, do you want this? Because this is it. Like, you've had a relatively close fight. You don't know how it's going to be on the judges' scorecards. If you want this, you got to show them what's up. So hopefully he lit a fire under his ass, because I can guarantee you that Marab has a fire under his ass without anyone telling him anything. He is just biting at the bit to get out there, and he's ready to pump the crowd up. He looks like he could run 1,000 more miles and be fine with it. And Umar looks a little bit like winded, um, but overall, not like devastatingly tired going into this fifth round. So the question is going to be the volume of this round, probably the volume of strikes, I would guess. Um, Maybe if Marab can secure like one or two good takedowns, and really if he could secure a takedown and do some damage off of it, and really keep the fight on the ground for any fraction of time in this round, that might make him look good. Um, he should probably also stop. He always throws that spinning back fist, man. You go back and look. Has he ever landed a spinning back fist? Now that was like one where right there, where the takedown, the grappling initiation was actually pretty good, and he pinned him on the cage, but he did let it go. But that was because he's got the respect of him last round from the striking point of view, and I think now Umar has to pay a little bit of attention and see. And he's striking off the break, which is good, right? So, and now he's starting to be relentless. I think he's trying to test and push the cardio. So even if he doesn't finish the takedown, he's exerting energy, but he's causing Umar to have to defend, which also exerts energy. And more than anything, if Umar's defending the takedown, he's not really doing staying at range and striking. He's definitely not throwing any of those kicks effectively the way he was early on in the fight. His hands look a little bit slower right now. He is ready to. He is really, really, really doing everything he can. He's like, I think he feels like he does not want to be taken down right now, and I think Marab knows that. One hand on the ground, a little bit of a pitter patter here. Two hands secured around the waist. He is just looking for this takedown. He's going to knee him on the side. He's just going to control him because he's making him work. He's making him exert energy. He's breathing heavily through the mouth, and he's not really doing much in the sense of like breaking it up. And big breaths right there. And Marab looks very comfortable here. I'm not gonna lie. Like early on in the fight, I think Umar looked more impressive. I think in the judges and fans' eyes, they would say he definitely won some of those early rounds. Although I would argue, like I said, the takedown in the first round may be the difference. But those last two rounds, man, Marab, surely he won those rounds. If he didn't, eh, I would love to see the score in this fight. And guys, guess what? I'm not a professional judge, and I'm trying to call this as evenly as I can. And to be honest, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm a fan of both. Uh, no matter who wins, I'll be happy. Like I only put $5 on Marab because he was such an underdog, and I thought he could technically win this fight. But if Umar wins, Umar's a great fighter, and he's gonna have tons of good events. And from a fight farm perspective, uh, this would be his first NFT that he's pegged to, and a long list of NFTs that we could sell. So I don't think there's a uh, lose lose situation for me on whichever one of these guys, because most likely these two are going to sell regardless. I mean, and I love the style of Marab. Um, he has really turned it up in the last two rounds, and yeah, I don't want to say I wish he had done it from the start, but part of me was expecting this level here from the start for Adam Marab. And some of that you have to respect that Umar Nagomedov, he's no joke, man. He's very dangerous. Um, so who am I to judge, right? But man, he's definitely the tide of the fight to me seems slightly. Once again, this is super close, guys. You can't say that no matter what I say about either one of these guys, you can't say, "Oh, there's some big ones there now." So now he's making him respect the hands, and guess what? Then he goes for the takedown, and boom, right back down to the ground. But instead of following up, what's he do? He celebrates, and he's mocking him, and he's taunting him. Like that's super dangerous. Now, maybe that's, like I said, the psychological warfare that he needs to get an advantage over this guy because he is such a dangerous fighter, and he knows that those guys in that camp. Uh, oh, another great one, dude. He may have secured the W alone. 4 seconds left, and he feels like he has retained the title. He feels like that Umar did not do enough. Umar looks defeated. Umar looks disappointed. Man, that may have been a W for Marab. If those early rounds, because the early rounds, even if you gave Umar Nagomedov any of the early rounds, they were such close rounds. Whereas I feel like these last rounds, 3, 4, and 5, were such decisive rounds for Marab. Um, Holy shit, they're pulling him off the cage. He's mad. He's like, let me go. He's about to get into a fight with the. He's about to get in the fight with the guys. The athletic commission. And I think he's apologizing. He's like, "Hey man, you can't grab me around the waist like that. I'm not intending to be like that." And now Dana's like telling him, "Hey man, settle the fuck down. You know where you're at." Show of respect from both guys. Guys, this was a really good fight. Once again, would I pay to see a rematch? Absolutely. Would I pay to see a rematch? Absolutely. Because early on, if Nargomedov could have had at least one more round like he did in those first two rounds, that easily I think could sway the other direction. And even the first two rounds, I don't know that you can't. I keep going back. I don't know that it was a wide enough difference in favor uh, of Umar Nagomedov that you would discount that potential first takedown. And that may have been very well if anyone scores. Uh, If anyone scores that first round for Marab, they probably did so because of the takedown, not because of the striking. He wasn't landing that much from a striking perspective, and Umar was looking a lot more crisp and better in the striking and defending the takedown. So, all right, I'm gonna shut up for a minute. We're gonna listen. I'm gonna listen to them call this the winner. I'm ready to hear this official decision because, in my mind, Marab has won this fight. There's no way that Umar Nagomedov won this fight. I think he just got the big L, and I think that Marab just had his first title defense. They both got their big fancy wigs on because you know it gets cold in the motherland. 5 rounds. All right, judges' scorecards. 48-47. 48-47. 59. And still, once again, all the haters. Oh, all the haters. Oh, Marab's going to lose. He stands no chance. Umar Nagomedov. Oh my gosh. These people sleep on him, dude. These people sleep on Marab big time. And don't get me wrong, I get it. I get it. There's something about the Dagestani crew. I get it. But let me tell you something. And Joe is giving him his props, talking about what a pace. Yeah, guys. Yeah, guys. Man, it does not shock me. It does not shock me. I'm telling you, it doesn't shock me that Marab won this fight. People were shocked. People right now are shocked. They're quiet because they just expected Nurmagomedov, Dagestani. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. I get it, but you are wrong because Marab defended his title. He did everything he had to do, and he did it in such a fashion that people thought he was about to lose. That first 2 rounds, even me, I was like, he kind of shaky ground, man. I don't know. I don't know. He said, believe in yourself. Don't let them underestimate you. And of course, now people are like, oh, Marab, and oh, amazing. Let's go, machine. All these people are tweeting now, but I mean, now I let Tapuria, Aliyah Tapuria, he did call him before and kind of said that Marab is different. Dude, I think, I'm telling you, man, people sleep on Marab. Marab is a great fighter. He needs to clean up his striking. I feel like he needs a little bit better striking. That will actually play into the wrestling. But I think that was an incredible performance by Marab. And I don't think Umar had a bad fight. I just think that he didn't have what it took to keep that pace for the whole 5 rounds. Whereas Marab did, man. Marab did not look tired. I mean, if Marab failed for EPO one day, it would not shock me. That dude, he reminds me of Dillashaw, you know. And I'm not saying that Marab is on EPO. I'm saying that he makes it look so easy. You'd like question yourself, like, is this dude on something like that? Because all right, now Joe's entering Umar. He has the look of disappointment on his face. But you gotta remember, this is I think this is his first UFC title fight. All right, so he's doing the interview. He's still a little bit winded, a little bit breathing heavy. I think he said he broke his hand, and that also could have made a difference, right? You know, if the first two rounds, if this happened in the fight, if in the first two rounds he broke that hand, that could be definitely the reason why we saw such a turn of events and Todd's turning when Rob turned it up because it affected how he could react and how he could implement his game plan. I was asking if there anything surprising. He said, "No, I knew he's a tough guy." I mean, I think their respect is there. I think they know, right? So Joe giving it his props. Excellent, excellent fight. I kept telling people like, don't sleep on this card because the entire card was stacked. The entire card was stacked, but you can't have the main event be what it is and this co-main event be what it is and the third fight down from the top be what it was with Jamal and Hill and Yuri. I mean, this one was a stacked one. And dude, people were sleeping. I think people were sleeping on this fight. They just thought it was a given. Umar is going to come in. He's going to get the W. This is going to be a one win and done, a one and done from Rob. And I kept telling people, man, you cannot sleep on Rob. And even me, I worry a little bit about him because when you watch him, he looks so comfortable. He looks like he's having a good time. He's talking shit. He's taunting and in a fun way, not even in like a disrespectful way, or even like in a way where it was kind of like the vibe that you would get from like an Anderson Silva or one of those guys back in the day. Like he truly doesn't like celebrate in your face until like after the fight. And I want you to say in your face. I'm not like the screaming and yelling and like acting crazy. Like he really likes to have a good time after the fight. Now there's Sean O'Malley sitting in the crowd looking like a total dumbass and realizing that I couldn't have beat either one of those guys. And there's nothing I can do about that. So the next fight's going to be Moicano versus Makachev, and I'm telling you, as much as we know that the Mac should win this fight, and he is the champion, he might be the pound for pound best in the world. People need to learn you cannot sleep on these underdogs. This is UFC, the best fighting organization in the entire world, where all of the competition can win on any given night. And this dude looks like he came ready. And you got to remember, he's came ready on short notice and won in these really competitive bouts. So he's no slouch. And people think he's just going to get ran over. And don't get me wrong, we might see the next 5 rounds and he might just get absolutely destroyed. We're not saying that Mac uh, can't put it on him like that. That's possible as well. But so one thing I learned tonight that I need to do is I need to set up these things like stream starting soon and be right back and these templates and these little things that you set up on the stream. So that's going to be something I try to do this week. I wanted something kind of minimal. I don't want it to be too flashy and I probably need to like create a different background. Like the big fight farm is not big enough. It'd probably be better off to have like even if you had the colors in the top left corner have a small fight farm logo. I also think I'm gonna have to move my body and my mic. I don't think being on this left hand frame is good because I forget what it looks like on Twitter, but I know when you go to YouTube, the live thing is on the left side, so it actually covers my face and the mic a little bit. So that's not good. These are the things I got to figure out along the way. Yeah, so even on Twitter, the red live is right there. Right now it says 261 views. Looks like I have 325. If this doesn't fix my stats that I saw earlier, which is very annoying, and not that I know what the hell any of this stuff means. I'm still figuring it out. But if I go in here and look right now in my analytics, I'm curious how this is going to play out. But I'm hoping my engagement, my impressions, I hope all that stuff improves over time as I improve the quality of the videos and the quality of the content. Because, you know, ultimately, ultimately we are going to promote Fight Farm quite a bit. And for those that don't know, Fight Farm right now currently is on OmniFlix, but we will be on other chains very, very soon. I think the first is probably going to be Stargaze. But I would expect Neutron, Nibiru, different Cosmos, even Cosmos Atom, uh, different Cosmos based chains where you'd expect us to go. We're probably going to be there in the next year because ICS 721 gives you the power to be cross chain, multi chain NFTs. It's an NFT standard that uses IBC to transfer NFTs back and forth. And of course, that is going to take us not only throughout the cosmos, but it's going to take us over to probably other chains such as XRP, I would guess. Let's see, Solana, I would guess. And last but not least, EVM. And uh, Nibiru is already setting us up for that. And if you guys want to get involved, make sure you use the best decks, right? Make sure you use the best decks. And by best decks, I'm talking about Astrovault. And I'll go over here to my test account and let you see the decks. So the biggest thing is whenever you use the decks, you earn AXV tokens. You can claim it's kind of like a rebate, effectively. And you can see there it's gravitate, and it's a 1 to 0 0.109. But yeah, basically you use it. They're active on three chains right now: Archway, Neutron, and Nibiru. Soon they will probably be on Solana and Base. So we're going to see uh, Astrovault everywhere soon. And right now, as you earn or purchase your AXV tokens, you can come right over here to this little flower tab, and it's the farm because you can provide LPs, and you can create your pools and earn your interest and pair stuff up. But for me, I love the farms, and of course, you got my farms, all favorites, right? You can go through there and select your favorites. But like right here, Atom on Neutron Chain, you deposit AXV, you earn Atom 18.21%. No lockup. That's the best part, right? No lockup. If something happens and I gotta get my funds out, I'm just gonna come here and withdraw. My shit's not locked in. Got 10% on staking AXV, for AXV. The lowest right now is looks like for Archway. Of course, you got 13% over here for my home chain, OmniFlix. So if you want to earn some Flix tokens at 13% without a lockup, come over here and do that. You have the mighty Jackal, and you have 32.1% right now for Nibiru on the Nibiru chain. So make sure you guys come check it out. Astrovault.io. Okay. All right. All right, we got the graphics going off again. Nice Brazilian graphics. I don't know how long it took them to like update that because you know that they only announced this fight like 24 hours ago. But Moicano's coming out. Once again, WWE is playing their role. So what's the name of that company? The main company now that owns all of them. He's walking out to Tupac. All eyes on me. Shows you right there. He's a serious dude because You can't come out to that song and like not be. Yeah, he looks serious, man. He doesn't look like a guy that's going to get ran through. Let's see, let's see, let's see. Huh. Let's see where Trump's at. Let's see where Trump's at over on the radium on Solana. All right. My two are still $77. A little bit of sideways action, right? What's the volume looking like? All right, so I was gonna look something up, and I've already forgotten what I was looking up, which means I probably need a trusty drink with my C4. I'm telling you guys, if you want to be like nice and awake and alert at 12:47 a.m., this is the stuff. All right, so this guy has 10 wins by submission. He's a jiu-jitsu black belt, and it looked like a second longest streak. I didn't see the exact wording on that. Once again, no slouch. All right, guys, I don't remember what the hell I was going to look up, so I'm just going to go back to whatever the hell I was at. So, so one of the things I got to check really quick. All right, now we're about to have the walkout for the champion, Islam Makachev, which we call the Mac. And guys, this fight here, we had Spice Edition NFTs, and of course, with the last minute change on the main event fighter, that means that one of the fighters that you purchased is going to get you an airdrop for free, capital F, capital R, capital double E, free. So sweet, sweet action right there, right? Um, but hey, that's what you come to expect from the core dev of violence, because that's who I am now. The core dev of violence. T-shirts coming soon. Um, yeah, I'm not gonna like nickel and dime you. I don't want to like just get rid of the fight. I don't want to scrap it. You spent money on NFTs. Those NFTs are based on a current upcoming fight. So if a fighter is replaced and the fighter that was originally there accepts that replacement fighter, typically we're going to airdrop you the fighter of the second NFT's fighter peg for free, which means in the future you earn a lot more potentially if those fighters were to win, which we can't guarantee that. Smock just walking out. Oh, that's what I was going to look up earlier. That's what I was going to look up earlier because I keep saying the walkouts look very WWE ish. And that company, they bought UFC, they bought WWE, uh, and you had like basically the merger. And we expected, so that was TKO Group, right? Endeavor. And that was what I was trying to think of the name of, was Endeavor. So it says UFC and WWE officially completed their merger, becoming the TKO Group and debuting on the New York Stock Exchange. The move is under the parent company Endeavor. It ends decades long control WWE under McMahon family. The deal was announced in April. Here's what you need to know. So you can definitely see some of the changes of the visuals of UFC. So before this fight gets started, guys, I need to go blow my nose real quick. Take a quick break. I'll be right back. All right, guys. All right, guys. I am back. Sort of Islam Makhachev taking on Hanato Moicano. And yeah, ready for this fight. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the main event. So, one last plug, guys. Make sure to check us out. Friday, January the 24th, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Maybe earlier, depending, but at least by 7 p.m. Over on omniflix.tv. That is omniflix.tv. We will be streaming and calling with a clean feed Karate Combat. Now, we were promised a clean feed, and we weren't given a lot of information on how we're going to get it or when we're going to get it. So, hopefully, leading into that, it'll be an easy setup. Um, but it'll be our first time. So, remember, bear with us. This is a test. But we want to have it. Bare minimum, like even if we didn't get the clean feed, we would just take their YouTube feed and we would mute it. And we would just still do our own thing. So we're gonna do it regardless. The question is are we truly gonna get the clean feed that we were promised with it? And he has liked and retweeted and promoted uh, things that we said this past 2 weeks. So it seems like we got the support. You know, they're primarily a Hedera Hashgraph HBAR product, and I love that. I've been learning a lot about Hedera. Great product, and I've really enjoyed using it. I've showed a little bit on my practice streams leading into this. So I am a fan of their game, their karate game. Although I do think that my offering with Fight Farm is a little bit different. So you will see probably some in the pit NFTs for that upcoming thing, and hopefully I can work out a deal. And that's another thing. Only Larkin and I had a brief discussion about was how we could become an official Karate Combat product, and how they do their licensing fees and the 10% that's promoted to the fighters and 10% that goes back to the community. So it's a 20% fee that's used for very good things to support both the fighters and the community. You cannot argue with that. I mean that's fair. And then we could use the actual fighter names, their likeness, their photos. But I always think that, you know, we're going to have that artsy side to us with Fight Farm. They already have Stickbug and Postmaster, and their team are doing the Karate Combat NFTs, and you know they're just doing something different than we are, and they're doing like the Hashinals, and they got like the upgradable NFTs, and it's a really cool thing, right? And I just think for us, because we're in Cosmos and ours is more like geared towards an actual game, and even that game is a little bit different than the game they already have with the karate token. Um, it's just one of those things where it's like you're taking something that's successful with Karate Combat, and it's one of the biggest Web3 sporting goods products, if not the biggest. Ooh, no fist bump there. Nice. And you're pushing it out to other Web3 areas, and that's what you want. If you want Karate Combat and in success, not just Karate Combat, but Hedera and H Bar and the Karate Token and the awesome uh, meme token for President Awesome. If you want all that to be successful, you need uh, you need for Karate Combat to get out of just being in that Hedera ecosystem. Like it needs to be a true Web3 product. It needs to be promoted everywhere. And I'm not on Ethereum and Ethel 2s a lot, and I use Solana a little bit, but for me, this guy looks way bigger than dude. He looks way bigger than the Mac. I did not realize how big this dude is. He's big for a 55 weight class. This should be an interesting fight. This is gonna be good. So you need to get out. So we're going to do our job and get it out in Cosmos and try to find a way to take everything we love about the Karate Combat fights, everything that exists already, as far as their token, their game. And of course, we're going to promote that, right? We're not saying just because we got our own stuff to promote, we're not saying not to go play their stuff. Because guess what? I'm going to play it. I'm going to keep getting karate tokens, and I'm going to keep playing their game to get more karate tokens. I'm really excited about their up only layer 2, and 30% of that supply is going to the karate tokens. I'm really excited about their President Awesome meme coin. You Just because I'm in Cosmos doesn't mean that I can't enjoy everything over at Hedera. And let me tell you something from a community perspective. I told Postmaster on one of his recent Twitter X Spaces that that is one of the most fun, accepting ecosystems to go into because, dude, they love Hedera and they love it so much that they do their best to be good actors and to welcome people and to help them and I'm not saying to everyone, you can't judge everyone generally speaking, because I'm sure there could be some assholes or they might have their infighting. But what I'm trying to say is like we have that in Cosmos as well, but I don't think that our reputation and perception outside the Cosmos necessarily people think that. I think they see some of the infighting and they see some of the people acting certain ways. And I'll be honest, including me, Moicano just clipped Makachev and knocked him down. So once again, people, I told you, I told you, I told you. There was no guarantee that you would not see a new champion walk out tonight. And of course, Makachev could win, but he just got knocked down by this dude. People act like this dude is like showing number 10 rank versus the champion. He just stuffed a takedown. Oh, nope. Now he got back up, but now he finished it. So Makachev has quickly decided, hey, standing with this guy is not working. And I've just got knocked down, and I've had a few good hits on me. And he took him down. A little bit of shoulder pressure, far underhook on the right hand side, a little bit of left shoulder pressure, and 20 to 30% bumping punches. Nothing, whatever. He's just trying to bait him, see what he's going to do, get him to move a little bit. So they're on the fight. They're on the fight ground, sitting half guard, trying to test and see where they're going to go. He's really trying to bug him with that shoulder. But yeah, Islam is definitely going to be hanging out here. He doesn't look like he's in any hurry to get out of the. He doesn't even look like he's in any hurry to get out. I think he would love to sit here and just kind of like control him and beat him up. You can't stay here in half guard bottom and just get beat up. You got to move. You got to wrestle. You got to. It's one of those places where you have to expend energy because in MMA, all right, now he's trying to set up that front headlock, going right into a OP tap. Holy shit, was that a Darce? Man, so and that didn't like he's such a wider dude at the top, like it didn't even look. completely like obviously he had the connection on the triangle part, but it didn't look like fully. It didn't look like it was fully even locked in. Like, but me and his arms are sort of a little bit shorter, and that's one of those things where like you got to have the angle perfect and you got to have the lockup perfect. But that was a quick tap, and that guy's a jiu-jitsu black belt, so um, it's one of those things where you got to circle away, but they follow you and they trap your feet. And Makachev did a good job of like after he got the lockup of the arms, he followed him with the feet and started to tighten up the. Let's watch the replay. So he starts it with he has a uh, good little left jab. So then he faked, shot in for the shot. He stuffs it. He stuffs it. He's pushing. But you know what he didn't do? He wrapped the head with the left arm, but he didn't really like take both hands and like stuff the head, right? All the good wrestlers, like all the good people defending takedowns, like they're stuffing. Now look at this. This one was so shallow that he wasn't on the bicep at all. Like the body size was so different. But like, see how he's tapping with his right hand, and maybe it's because he had the hand that was through the triangle, kind of connected on the inside of his thigh. I don't think that had like any Americana pressure, but maybe it had some shoulder tensity in it. That's kind of weird, but no, there's no way. There's no way because it wasn't even going the opposite direction. But the hand that he tapped with the right hand, like like I'm shocked that he wasn't like pushing on the inside of the knee and thigh with that loose hand that he's tapping with and circling away, like just extending, right? Just walk and extend, walk and extend. Um, but nonetheless, he got the tap, man. That's it. That was quicker than I thought it was going to be. He came out and looked good. He's a decent looking sized dude, and he got defeated. And I don't know, man. It's just one of those things where I'm like, how I would love to hear more details on like what am I missing there? Like that was not defendable. I'm not sure what I'm missing there that wasn't defendable because I'm gonna listen to Joe for a second. So he's talking about getting on the ground and working the submission. Of course, he's following up with saying I'm not all talk, and that's true. I never think for a second that Islam himself is all talk because he took that fight in less than 24 hours, or about 24 hours notice, and said, I don't care who's across from me. I'm the champion. I'm the best. You got to respect that. He said, I like this belt. So that's 15 straight unbeaten streak for him, right behind 16 with Anderson and John Jones at 20. So Makachev is fastly creating a name for himself. So now Hanato's over here. Let's see what he has to say about this. I wonder if he comments on the finish. Well, he's being very respectful. He's saying he's not done. He's not sure if he'll ever get a chance like that again, but nonetheless, yeah, gracious, yeah, gracious in defeat is right. So that is the end of UFC 311. For those, as we went over earlier, for those who had purchased either the Mac NFT or the Machine Gun NFT, and both of them have previous versions. So if you had purchased it and you were staking, you would earn some IST, which is a stable coin like USDC. So you earn IST stablecoin rewards. Those should be sent out in the next day or so. I do have a full schedule tomorrow. I might get some of them sent out. I might not. My partner Omer is going through and recording all the winning NFTs addresses to see if they're staked. Um, but yeah, we're gonna look through. This was a fight that was sponsored with the Spice Edition, so we had a pot of spice for both fighters. So if you held the Mac, you will have a chance to win. If you held originally the Grit NFT for Armand, ooh, so February 22nd we have Cejudo, and once again, I think that could be Cejudo's last fight. So to get him a Legend NFT, I'll probably have to do a one-off on Cejudo. On the first, you have Israel Adesanya and Amavov, and I wasn't going to do that one at first. I wasn't going to do either one of those because they're both on ESPN, but I think because of who they are, even as one-offs, I have to do them as fights. So, hey, I will try to get those done now soon. The Spice Editions, remember, we have IST rewards going to you if you had the Mac or Machine Gun NFTs. If you had the Mac or the replacement NFT that we'll send out for Hanato, who just lost, uh, you will be eligible to win Spice, or there were some Stargaze Spice. What were those called? Let me check real quick. So Stargaze had excuse me. So they had, here it is, Worm Riders of Spicelandia. And I've got like 8 of these NFTs, I think, and I'm doing like a giveaway on 2 different things. So, I enjoyed the artwork on those things. They're wild. And I can't wait to give some of them away. They're just cool little NFTs, man. And they may never be worth anything, but dude, if you're a Spice or an Akash fan, it's one of those things where you never know. Like if Akash blows up, we've seen that over in Cosmos with plenty of the NFTs. And when you look at these, dude, there's a ton of cool ones. And I almost don't want to give any of them away. So, you know, I'm definitely not giving away this one with Don because I can't, because that's got Don Remilio's as a spice worm on it. And if you don't know what that is, then this probably is not the podcast or the show for you. I'm still shocked watching the replay here at how shallow. Like he didn't even have his hand on the bicep. I don't think. I think he actually like instead of doing like the bicep, I think he did like the forearm even to lock that up. And that's a lot more difficult. Now I know you can do it. John Danaher was going over. Either John Danaher or Gordon Ryan were going over like on the videos for their Darce and their other what's it called entries, and they were talking about how like you can't always get there, right? And you can't just do this. You got to come to the forum and walk, 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 walk. And if you can't get there, there's ways and different techniques you can use to make even on the forum super tight. So man, oh man, oh man. Anyways, guys, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one. Thank you to everyone who watched tonight. Thank you for bearing with me. I hope I didn't bore you. I don't know if anyone actually stayed on, but we did have 271 viewers. We are at 300 and some odd something or another's. And, this is just me trying to practice calling some of the fights so I can get used to this, especially the striking part for Karate Combat. Of course, don't forget to check me out at Fight Farm NFT on X. Check us out on Fight Farm Chat on Telegram, and look for Omniflix TV to be hosting me soon, live streaming there. For now, I will continue to go to X and to YouTube. And to grow my audience, I pretty much need to stay on X and YouTube as well, anyways. But I'm a Web3 kind of person. So part of me is really just like wanting to become a bigger influencer over here on Omniflix TV and Web3, platforms as they grow, more so than trying to chase that and compete with all those people into the traditional. The problem is like I'm in a world where people don't necessarily care about MMA and UFC over here in the crypto space and Web3 space where I'm at. So if I want customers, I'm going to have to go out and find them and educate them. And of course, one day when we have an app, we can abstract away all the Web3 stuff, and it's more like something you would experience in Web2 apps. There's a lot to the planning on how you deploy an app that uses digital collectibles like this. You may not want to say the word NFT or blockchain or DAO or stake your NFT to the DAO. You may not want to say any of that, right? So we'll have a lot of different terminology and things to abstract away. You may not want to like set up a wallet or create a wallet. Well, we just want to be like, dude, use what you're used to, right? Sign in with your social media, sign in with your um, email, phone number, Apple ID. All these are things we're used to using, right? And the wallet creation and management will be done through the game, technically controlled by you, but there's ways to do it in a decentralized and protective way. And then along the way, you can educate them and say, hey, if you want to take control of this, you can, but you don't have to. And then that way the player has a choice. And guess what? As their account becomes more valuable, they're probably going to think a lot harder about how they manage that value, and then that's how you kind of sneak them into Web3 without them really realizing it. And you can do it in a fun and educational, cool way with NFTs and collectibles, and marry that to something that we already all love, which is UFC and MMA and combat sports. So thank you for stopping in, guys. It's been about 3 hours and 20 minutes, so I'm going to call this one to a halt, and I will see you next time, okay? So I am the core developer of Violence. I am the creator of Fight Farm, and we will see you next time on Karate Combat on Friday, January the 24th, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Follow me here, look up and bookmark omniflix.tv, and we will see you live. Take it easy, guys.